Check me out now. Return of the smooth operator. Shotty on repeat. I say sleep later. This another favor. Consider me your neighbor. Lost a lot of fam in pursuit of the paper. She gon' catch the vapors when we slide by. The way I speak my mind, it's like I peak my prime, but I ain't close. I cruise through the night air. Fantasy a dream. Real world is a nightmare. Like Claire battling the brainless. Learn to live shameless. Talk about me a lot, but claim that I'm nameless. You aimless. So I'ma style on them. They washed up. It's a rap. Throw the towel on them. Gaining miles on them. Otakus for the win. Tacos, it depend on the mood that I'm in. Like Finn when it's time for adventure. This some new blue. Get ready to enter my mind for a few. Come and take a ride with the crew. I'ma show you how to recoup days lost when you vibe with the blue. Come vibe with the blue. Yeah, about time to regroup. Fly, got my eyes on the view. Never hear lies, only truth. Realize why they vibe with the blue. 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 Vibe with the vibe with the sky. Wait, you know the rest. I'm blessed. I see you frontin' like you ain't impressed, but I still get requests. I'm playing Zelda on the GameCube. I quit spamming my music. Don't ever try forcing the links. That's a high rule. The wind waker, Mother Nature on my side too, controlling the elements. Go and check my avatar. I'm arrows ahead. Get the point. Moving forward. The battle scars accumulated over time are reminders of what I went through as a minor, but made me a grinder. The trees broke down for this loose leaf. If life's a game of death, I'm Bruce Lee. Ooh wee. Lose sleep on the regular, trying to get this word out. Then I crash nebula. Wish I had a very odd parent, maybe two, but it's cool. Everybody pays dues. Now it's time to make moves. Granny didn't raise me to lose. Think I'm in the mood for a cruise. Wanna ride? Come and vibe with the blue. Come 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 vibe with the. Check this out, y'all. I'm back spazzing like the elderly. Worth of my cousin Beverly. Never swear away from the truth. Just ask Heather. Be weather, be tripping. Starting to look control like our destiny. Always give you the best of me until the death of me. My weaponry is a paintbrush. Hush, don't tell my secret. They get a hold of it. If you leak it, get it. It's cool. Got you covered though, look. But let me get back to that cool-ish, loose-ish. Why they still lying? They don't do this. Bad at board games, whole world clueless. Selling their soul for Roof Chris. Who's this honored fella? Need a sliced extra mozzarella. Crew fly, let God propellers. Humanity born like they don't trust fun. Why you dodge to tell her? You don't know, but my odds are better. Life's a gamble, depending on who holding the cards. You can start living at large or it's bon voyage. Charge it to the game. Me and you ain't the same. I'm thinking bigger pictures. Why you still shrinking the frame? Ever blink in the rain? It helps when your eyes dry. Mob with the bright minds. Think you funny, wise guy? Midnight marauder with a new tribe. Tired of the fake. Come and vibe with the blue sky. Come vibe with the blue sky. Why do you try? We get them high. Take them high. What I do? Come vibe with the blue. Yeah. Vibe with the blue. Pass what up? Vibe with the. Wise grass only greener when it's fertilized. Gave them truth in these songs, they prefer to lies. Destiny beautiful, adrift in her purple eyes. You can't see me, you Stevie. Wondering how I reach more evolutions than Evie and make it look easy. Dream on, yeah. Dream on, dream weaver. Dream weaver.
What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's your boy Ernie, Blerd Without Fear. Got the homie Carter presents in the building. Welcome to episode 192 of the Blerd Cave, the #1 comic book news stream on this or any other Earth in the multiverse. Which, by the way, if you didn't know, you can also listen to on Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, Stitcher, probably 20 other places I can't remember by name off the top of my head. But if you are listening to us on those platforms or are going to listen to us on those platforms, we humbly ask that you leave us a rating. Those ratings help us reach more listeners like yourself every day. We got a jam-packed show today, a lot to talk about, and honestly, not really a lot of time to talk about it in. Which I know some of you will probably say those are lies, because I did it earlier this week, but I was being very quick, very succinct with my thoughts on a lot of those things. We have a lot more information that's come out since then to disseminate to you, the people, which sounds very gross now that I've said it out loud. Carter, what's going on, pimp?
Nothing at all. I'm looking at Gearless Jonathan Moda. I'm just gonna start calling you Gearless Joe, just because we have the Megalo box in common. He's in here. I've never heard of Simon's section, but they are starting the morning off right. And Bill 93505 had a nice conversation with himself this morning. So
hey, you know, yeah.
And Tyrone D, Monster Hunter is back on Sony. You had Monster Hunter World and Monster Hunter Rise just came out on Sony systems. You kind of late to the party, bro.
Yeah, no, but it's okay, you know, because hey, it's better late than never. And you know what? Now, so you know, we're gonna get into the we're definitely gonna get into the gods and monsters announcements. But first and foremost, we gotta address these super chats that are in here right now. We're gonna start from the top, work our way down. We got, for one, we got one from the homie Gokon Sure His Baby's Father with a $5. Hitting us with the, I guess what used to be a hot and ready. I don't even think we have $5 footlongs anymore. But we got one from the homie Gokon, and he says, driving to the dentist, saw some Snyder fans at the bus stop complaining in the cold. I smiled. God is good. Look, man, if you are sitting at a cold-ass bus stop complaining that you ain't got the SnyderVerse no more, you got a whole other set of problems. And that's all I will say about that. We also got the homie Simon section hitting us. Oh, wait, I haven't had anything to drink all morning. Hold on. Hitting us with that 1999 super chat. Says, hey, Blerd Without Fear, as we both know, The Authority is a spinoff, the Wildstorm comic Stormwatch. Is there any chance James Gunn will develop a video game representing them playing Battalion? If so, I will nerdgasm. And, yeah, of course, we got the 1999 in there as well, because, you know, why not? Take every opportunity to use it. I mean, let's be real here. That is something that came up in, not Stormwatch, but just video games. Carter, did you read Stormwatch? Did you ever read Stormwatch back in the day, back in the 90s? Or late 90s, early 2000s?
I didn't even know what the fuck Stormwatch was until they started bleeding into the DC stuff. I'm taking everyone's advice now and going back and I'm reading The Authority. And one of the first things that the Authority book, like literally the first issue, one of the first things that they referenced was Stormwatch. Yeah. So that's another one that I would have to add to the list. When it comes to them have any opportunity of a game coming out, shit, we don't know.
Well, I mean, and that is something we are going to spend some. I mean, not that specifically, but video games are going to come up here. This show, I will promise you of that. But no, I think that if they could, I think it would be interesting. I think it could be a good game. I don't know. I don't know how you would do it per se. Like, I mean, you could do it as like your bog standard beat 'em up. I know some people will cringe when I say this, but you could also do it as a, you could have single player with like AI, allies, whatever. With the capacity to have like a multiplayer setup, a la what we have seen from various other games as of late.
You mean like Guardians of the Galaxy, stuff like that?
Yeah, like Guardians of the Galaxy. But with like, if you're doing it from a single player's perspective, do it like Guardians of the Galaxy. But if you want to add multiplayer, minus the live service elements, you could do it like you could make the multiplayer like Avengers or the Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. Just once again, minus the live service elements, because like, I can't speak for Suicide Squad, but Avengers played for the most part pretty well. It just was the framework around the game that was terrible. The live service part of it. But yeah, I could see it. I would love it. I would eat something like that up. Because Stormwatch was kind of like the Ultimates before the Ultimates, and then Stormwatch kind of became like, you kind of bled into the Authority, and then you really got the blueprint for the Ultimates from there, because that was pretty much what the Authority was. They're basically like, hey, we're just gonna go tackle shit, before it gets out of pocket. We also got the homie, of course, as always, Jonathan Moda with the max damage. We are dead. This man has hit us with the 99.99. Says, wishing you both and your loved ones the best. Always thank you for bringing us together each weekend, man. You are welcome, my guy. And thank you for just hitting us with the wild super chats. We appreciate you, pimp. Just can't say it enough. Never will say it enough. Not to shed too much light on private conversations, but Jonathan Moda and I have talked off to the side before, and I'm constantly I think the thing that Jonathan Moda probably hears from me more than hello is thank you. He has told me I don't have to say it, but I'm gonna say it every time because that's how I was raised. Man, we have also got the homie Gabriel the Dark Knight coming in with a 1999 in the super chat. Says, working on another Saturday, but still want to show support. Man, we appreciate you, dude. Like I said, always out here. Rain, sleet, or snow, and just out here. That is the level of dedication I've always seen from Gabriel the Dark Knight. I just, like I said, I can't respect it enough. Let's see here. We've got another one from the homie LP3 with the $10. Says, afternoon, fellas. Maybe I'm missing something, but why are people making it a big deal that Batman in the new DCU could end up slightly older than Superman? Does this negatively affect continuity? No, it does not. No, it does not. I mean, honestly, the idea of Batman being older, because here's the thing. You need Batman you need him as an elder statesman. I think because here's the thing. I think what people are really not catching here, maybe I may have misread what was said by James Gunn, but I feel like he's not going to be that significantly older than Superman. I think people saw that comment and thought, Batman's gonna be in his 40s and Superman's gonna be like 19. I think that's how a lot of people on the internet read it, but those of us like yourself, we read that with some damn sense. Yeah, it is what it is. I don't know, man. I don't know. Carter, what do you have any?
If you go back to the Snyder films, Batman was older in those. If you take into account Superman is going to age slower than humans. So Bruce was already he was just a mean and surly old man at that point. It was just he was played, excuse me, by pretty Ben Affleck, pretty boy Ben. So it's not really gonna mess up any kind of fucking continuity because this is a new continuity. This is James Gunn wiping the board and starting fresh. And if there's any kind of an issue with Batman being older, you still have the now officially Elseworld stuff with Robert Pattinson. But no, it's not even that big of a deal, brother. If I can just keep it a buck with you, it's fine. It's just I think it's something that people don't actually ever think about until now because they need to find some kind of argument to be put into insert themselves into a conversation. Because if we're being literal and if we're looking at how they've always shown Kryptonians and things like that in the comics, like they age slower, they last longer. So Bruce was always gonna be the older of the two. It's just marketing. You have to kind of try to put them so people can it's a whole thing. No, it's not gonna mess with continuity, dog. It's not. We gonna be off in the fucking weeds, dude. No, it's not gonna mess with continuity in any way.
You also gotta remember. I mean, that's the thing. Normal human. He's normal human. But that said, I guess you know what? This was Herbert Scott said. Oh wait, no. Who was this? Oh no, Carmike Stokes said, "Ernie, when you inviting Mr. Motor for a visit to the Blerd Cave?" I don't know, man. We had to talk that out because I feel like at this point, shit. Jonathan Mota's practically the was it a benefactor or not benefactor? I guess or technically like he's the I guess like the dude in the chair, more or less, for the Blerd Cave.
So I don't want to see a bunch of people in chat listening to Ernie's remark start calling him Mobius Chair Motor. I want to see it.
Yeah. Hey, look, well, hey, I mean, I'm just saying. Let's get into it, man. 'Cause like I said, we still got a lot to talk about. So, for those who missed it, James Gunn, Peter Safran, of course, they are or have already taken over control of the DC Comics universe on film, television, and video games, and presumably any other media outside of comics. And this week, James Gunn put out a video. It was all over the internet, all over the socials, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere, and basically gave us the roadmap. For the DC universe going forward. As many of you don't know, this is no longer the DCEU. DCEU is dead. Put that shit away. No more SnyderVerse. This is the DCU, the DC universe. And now things are going to be going very, very differently. James Gunn basically put it out there, though he's technically said this on more than a few occasions, but he just kind of reiterated in the video that the interconnected DC universe that is in existence now will not just be the movies. It will also include any animated movies and TV series, which means that when they cast actors for any of these roles, the teams that are putting these things together will be looking for people who can also portray their characters not just in live action, but also through voice acting. And potentially any other media, whatever other media that these characters would potentially show up in. They said that or they didn't so much say this, but it actually has been pointed out by other people within the spectrum of DC Studios, and I think James Gunn may have even confirmed this himself, but that principal actors, and by principal we mean the main character actors, so your Supermans, your Batmans, your Aquamans, so on and so forth, are being signed on to 10-year contracts that include both movie, TV, and other appearances. That is left kind of vague, but that can potentially mean video games, and basically this ensures no one who is involved in anything can be recast for at least a decade, because the plans that Gunn and Safran have in place are supposed to span 8 to 10 years, at least initially. So you're looking at a very MCU Marvel Studios situation, like early days Marvel Studios. Carter, what do you think about that?
I really wish Kevin Conroy was still alive and younger. It makes me think about a lot of the voice actors that we all grew up with on animated series, because this is probably the biggest we've seen in these announcements of just making the voice actor and the actor one and the same. Because how many years have we heard Kevin Conroy, or how many times have we seen Batman on a screen and so many people have wished it was Kevin Conroy? How many times have we seen a Green Lantern and we thought about Phil Lamar? So I like that they're going that route, so it can just be a one-to-one. You don't have to think about, does this connect with this, or does this go with this, or is this before? You don't have to do that anymore. You're going to know where everything fits now. So that's the one thing I do. There's going to be consistency in everything. So you're not going to have an instance of no offense to Pedro Pascal, but you're not going to go from Pedro Pascal's Joel in the Last of Us series to who we have in the video game. You're not going to go from Ashley Johnson in the video game to Bella Ramsey in the show. You're still going to be able to feel with those voices you've heard, and now you can finally put a face to those voices. So I think it's cool.
Oh no, 100%. For me, my big thing with all of this is that continuity is king, and I think that was one of the biggest problems I always had with the DCEU and the Arrowverse and all that stuff. Was you got one Deathstroke, you got Manu Bennett playing Deathstroke on one side of things, and then you got Joe Manganiello playing Deathstroke, somewhere else. You've got Ezra Miller playing Flash over here. You got Grant Gustin playing Flash over here. You've got you got the Suicide Squad hanging out on Arrowverse that looks nothing like the Suicide Squad that's in the DCEU. Like there's no rhyme or reason between any of it, and that was a huge deal, because that was an issue with Warner Brothers early on, is that they didn't want to confuse people by having Suicide Squad on, and not even just talking about having different actors, but just saying they thought that people wouldn't be able to grasp the concept of the Suicide Squad being on a TV show and then having a movie. That people wouldn't be able to grasp the concept of seeing Deathstroke on TV and then going to the movies and seeing Deathstroke, show up in a movie there. It's like, people are smarter than you. I mean, on the whole, people are pretty fucking stupid, but they're a lot smarter than you give them credit for. But like I said, we're talking about on the whole, not, individually. But the other thing that came out of this too was that, they were talking about animation. And we'll talk a little bit more about animation here in just a minute, but about how the only major change with the DC animated movies is that they will connect more often to the DCU. They'll a lot of those things will now be more canon to what they have coming up for all the movies and TV shows that they've already announced. But like also pointing out that things like and not just animated, but we're talking about just in general, but movies like The Batman, starring Robert Pattinson, or The Joker, both it and its upcoming sequel, starring Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga, that those things will be considered elseworlds. They're not canon to the DCU. They're completely separate entities. They're just things you can go enjoy and have fun with, but they don't count. I even love that he brought up Teen Titans Go, as if anybody would have assumed Teen Titans Go was canon to anything with how silly the show is. But you never know. You never know. But what we do know may or may not be canon, because at least the way he talked about these things, he didn't specifically mention these things as being elseworlds, but we know Shazam is a part of the DCU.
That was confusing.
Yeah. But honestly, I feel like the reason why it is because it had so little to do with the DCEU. Like, you could take, like, Shazam, you can move that movie smooth into the DCU, because outside of referencing Batman and Aquaman and having a almost cameo by Superman, movie has nothing to do with what else is going on in the DCEU. So that
it was
makes
just
sense.
the fact that he said Shazam is in its own world, to where I got kind of confused. So I'm like, if you're saying that, is it elseworlds or is it not? Kind of that his phrasing there was what confused me on that part.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. It took me, I had to, and it's only because I had listened to what he had to say several times. But basically the way I took it is that it is, but I mean, truth be told, a lot of the stuff we're about to talk about ain't canon to the DCU, because it's all going to be rebooted anyway. But like, he basically said, like Shazam, you got that. That'll lead into, all the other movies. Like, he brings up how Blue Beetle will be a part of the DCU. Aquaman 2, for inexplicable reasons, will be part of the DCU, apparently, or at least lead into the upcoming DCU, or the continuity. Basically, what he's basically treating this as a Flashpoint, because, speaking of, the Flash is still a thing. It's very likely, and based on the things I've heard James Gunn say, it's how we're gonna get the new DCU, because of the reboot that's gonna happen within that movie. But Gunn did say it's not gonna reset everything. Hence why some characters like Jason Momoa, Jason Momoa's Aquaman, and very likely Zachary Levi's Shazam, why they probably won't be recast. But other actors will be, like Superman, Henry Cavill's Superman, Robert Pattinson's Batman isn't canon, but like Ben Affleck's Batman will be recast, so and so forth. The thing that kind of bugs me, though, and this is the thing we because Carter, we've talked about this a lot, how Warner Brothers believes that Flash is going to be the greatest superhero movie of all time, that it's going to rival The Dark Knight, that the test audiences have rated it as high as The Dark Knight, which is the highest rated DC movie in DC Comics history. What do you what do you think? What do you think about James Gunn putting on the cape for for Ezra Miller's Flash movie?
I think he's supposed to, because of the position he's in and the money that he is trying to make with them. He can't be someone that is going to, he can't do what we do. No. Honestly, and I don't say this with any kind of malice or disrespect when I say this, but we're not in the same tax bracket, so we can call out Ezra Miller on certain things that I don't think that James Gunn can, because there's too much money there. So even though behind closed doors with his wife and at home, he's probably shitting on that dude on the regular, there are billions to be made here. So I think it's unfortunate, but that's the game that's being played right now. So he's gonna have to big up the Flash.
What did you think about well, it's funny to me too, because like with that, it kind of prompted an interview to ask Kiersey Clemens, who plays Iris West. It prompted a question that came up for those that some of you may or may not remember. I don't know, but Kiersey Clemens played Iris West in the Snyder Cut. Some people may have been too focused on Ezra Miller rubbing the hot dog in his pocket, having hot dogs in his pocket, trying to be a dog walker and everything being in slow-mo to remember, but to refresh everyone's memory banks. Kiersey Clemens, who plays Iris West and apparently is still Iris West in the upcoming Flash film, basically what they did, or what she did rather, she came out in defense of Ezra Miller, basically kind of writing off a lot of what's happened, just basically saying that that's all good, it ain't that big a deal, whatever. But I don't know, I find all funny there's all these people coming around to like shield Ezra Miller from criticism.
Well, the thing with Kiersey Clemens is, to be completely honest, the only other movie I've ever seen that woman in, and I had to look it up to be sure, was Dope.
Really? That's the only thing you've seen her in?
That's the only thing I have ever seen that woman in. And maybe a music video?
There's a horror movie that I'm a huge fan of that she's in called Sweetheart. But that, I will give you that. I don't really see her in a whole heap of a lot, so that is fair. But yeah, I don't know. I just found it interesting. But basically, instead of phases like Marvel, DC is going to be doing chapters, which is basically the same thing. It just is just different branding, so it's not exactly the same thing. And this one is going to be called Gods and Monsters. And everything that was announced by James Gunn is not the entire first chapter. It's just honestly the things that are coming sooner than others. But Gods and Monsters is an interesting title because it's kind of on the nose, even though technically it's branding that DC uses all the time. The superheroes of the DC universe are often referred to as gods, because in some cases, sometimes they actually literally are gods. And of course monsters, because some of the heroes are monsters. Hell, some of the villains are monsters. But the first thing that they led with, and I thought it was funny because this is, you could tell the Snyder fans were watching, because when he announced Creature Commandos, I literally saw Twitter, or at least that sector of Twitter, erupt. Folks being mad that the Creature Commandos are coming to the DCU. They're like, what? This is you canceled our Henry Cavill for this? But for those that are unfamiliar, Creature Commandos, which I'm not the biggest, I was never the hugest, ultra mega fan of. They're characters that I just think are interesting sometimes. But for those who may or may not know, this is what your Creature Commandos is going to look like. It's actually not the most comics canon team. Yes, some of the characters are, but not all of them. As I said in my video I put out earlier this week, from left to right, you've got Rick Flag Sr. So Joel Kinnaman's Pappy is in this. You've also got Dr. Nina Mazursky, the Mer Woman. That's not really, Mer Woman's not her superhero name or anything. She's literally just Dr. Nina Mazursky. You've also got Batman villain Dr. Phosphorus, for inexplicable reasons. They've also got Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein. And while I saw a lot of people think that the robot in the back was Robot Man from Doom Patrol, that's actually G.I. Robot. And of course, last but not least, Weasel, who many will probably remember from the Suicide Squad movie, who's played by James Gunn's brother, Sean Gunn.
It was a lot of people that I saw on Twitter that thought the fish lady was Abe Sapien from Hellboy.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah. Like, honestly, there was a lot. I saw a lot. I'm not gonna lie, there were a lot of people who kept confusing a lot of these characters with like Doom Patrol and Hellboy, was it BPRD and just all this stuff. I was like, bro, y'all need to quit. Y'all telling on yourselves. But I mean, this looks cool. It's gonna be an animated series, 7 episodes, all written by James Gunn. And there's really not much else to say about it beyond the fact that we know it's gonna cross over into the Amanda Waller series, with Viola Davis coming back, and it's basically gonna be her working with Team Peacemaker. We don't really know fully yet if John Cena's involvement, but I'm sure he will probably be there to some degree or another. It's got a good pedigree on it though. Crystal Henry, who wrote for HBO's Watchmen, Jeremy Carver, who was instrumental in bringing Doom Patrol to HBO Max. So, I mean, it looks interesting. I don't know. What do you think, Carter? Both of them. You have any opinions about the Creature, Commandos, or the Waller series? I know you have issues with Amanda Waller to some degree or another.
With the animation being a focal point and it taking so long, but now it's finally going to be a focal point. Creature Commandos is the one that it could be very interesting. Someone in the chat said it not too long ago. This is probably going to be James Gunn's Guardian of the Galaxy for DC, which, I mean, that'd be something nice to see. But I've read a couple books with Frankenstein in them where he was kind of a G, and anytime we see DC animated do anything, I'll give it a watch, no matter how good or bad it might be. So with that one, I was ready for it because it's not just something that I think you said and something I said as well in some of your YouTube comments was just that it's not Superman and Batman. So I'm cool that the main thing that we're going to start with is the main thing that made you all so much money that people have been telling you time and time again is better than your live action was always the animated. So I think Creature Commandos could be something different, but it's going to be a fun different. Waller, I don't give a fuck. Waller, I will let you all tell me is good. See, Creature Commandos, I could see myself watching every week. Waller, I would wait until it finished up or it was a couple episodes in and then you all were to tell me that it was good. Viola Davis is a hell of an actress, not saying she is not. Getting people that wrote for Watchmen is another nice little pickup. People that brought Doom Patrol to live action is another good pickup. But just that character, nah. But again, I'm not saying I'm not going to watch it. I'm just not going to watch it when everybody else watches it.
Carter doesn't like big girls.
No, I don't know what it is. But
I'm fucking with you.
But I've never liked the Nick Fury archetype character from Sam Jackson, from Caucasian, all the way to big Amanda Waller, skinny Amanda Waller. I've just never liked those kind of characters.
I mean, I get where you're coming from. I don't even put her in the same. I mean, I guess technically the idea of her character, I guess you could say she's like a Nick Fury, but I think that's actually a gross oversimplification because actually I think she's a lot worse than Nick Fury. I think she's actually like if Nick Fury were like I don't even with some of the bullshit Nick Fury has done in his time, he has never quite been on the level of fuckery that Amanda Waller has been before. not Sam Jackson, not the black one. I wouldn't even not even the white one. I mean, Caucasian Nick Fury. I mean, yeah, he's done some fucked up shit, but man, Amanda Waller is a whole problem.
White Nick Fury was played by David Hasselhoff. That's already a big violation, though.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong.
That motherfucker was eating pancakes in his shower. That was already a gross violation.
I mean, yeah, dude, imagine how sticky that had to have been. But no, my thing is, what has me hyped for it, I'm actually very interested in this Waller series, if for no other reason than the art. Because here's the thing, and this is something I didn't mention earlier because we didn't have anything to put it with, but when James Gunn was making a lot of these announcements, he was kind of giving us hints at where they're going to be pulling from with a lot of this stuff. Like case in point, in the case of Amanda Waller, the Waller series, it looks like it's going to be pulling from the Ostrander run of Suicide Squad, which I think is the best Suicide Squad has ever been. Ostrander took that series. I mean, and granted, it was the mind behind it in the first place, but that was literally like, and there have been great Suicide Squad stories since then, but I feel like that was peak Suicide Squad, and it hasn't been, while it has been good since then, it hasn't been that much better. So that has me hyped, because James Gunn tends to pull a lot from those from the Ostrander stuff when it came to the Suicide Squad movie. So that's why I have a little hope in my heart for this one. But they will have a crossover. Waller and the Creature Commandos will have some crosstalk between them. How that's going to play out, I don't know 100%, but it's safe to say Viola Davis is going to be playing Amanda Waller in both live action and in animation. But it also kind of implies that we might see the Creature Commando show up on her live action series. So I'm curious. I'm actually just interested to see how that aspect of it is going to play out. Next up, and this is the one that I think got people were both equally hype and angry at the same time. Because James Gunn announced that this is going to be the true beginning of the DCU. Superman Legacy, which looks like it's taking a lot of inspiration from Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely's Superman run.
All-Star Superman, yeah.
Yeah, All-Star Superman. So that, in and of itself, is already kind of a feather in the cap, because that was a very interesting little run on that. But what I like here is that we don't really know anything other than a date. Like, all we know, July 11th, 2025, which is a date that very likely will change. But if it doesn't, that would be even funnier. But yeah, I don't know. I'm interested. I can't wait to see what this is going to be. I mean, he basically told us a lot of the stuff that we can expect to see, the stuff that the comics that he showed when talking about the things we can expect to see coming forward. While not necessarily saying that he's adapting these things one-to-one, but, just the vibe or the tone. So I'm curious to see how a Grant Morrison Superman plays out on the big screen. What do you think about this?
This one, and it was something else he announced for 2025, was really shocking to me, because 2 years ain't that long.
No, not at all.
So to see that he could pump out a Superman movie, or just I think, I cannot remember what maybe it was was it Batman 2 that was also coming out in 2025? It was something else that was coming out in 2025, but just with this one specifically, yeah. I could not believe that he could pump out a movie and get it done in 2 years time, because especially with all the Marvel stuff, you see how long it takes for them to just finally get to a theater. But with it being All-Star Super, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it actually didn't take them that long to shoot. They actually shoot pretty quick. It's that they set delays a lot of the times. It's actually more the post-production than anything else, but they shot a lot of those movies in the matter of months. It usually doesn't take very long. It's just, I don't really understand the reasoning sometimes, because sometimes the movie's done for a while and they just let them sit. Okay. So.
Yeah. But yeah, when it pertains to All-Star Superman, that's one of the Superman stories I have read more than once. So so it's legacy. It's taking cues from All-Star with a younger Superman. So I'm wondering how all of that is going to fit and correlate. So it could be very interesting. I know anything will be better than Man of Steel to me, because I was really excited for that movie and it put me to fucking sleep. So a James Gunn Superman movie sounds really interesting if he's not doing, especially if it's coming from All-Star Superman, because to me that sounds like he's not going to be the typical James Gunn blood, gore, and kind of stuff that you normally expect from him, just like explosions you expect from Michael Bay. So seeing that he's taking some stuff from All Star, it makes me think this will be a different kind of James Gunn experience. So I'm excited for it.
No, yeah, no, 100%. Before we move on to our next thing, because like I said, we got a lot, so I'm gonna try and make sure I catch these before and keep the show running on smooth fashion. Infamous Jedi with a $5 super chat says, speculating off nothing, could the Authority be the team that came after the JSA when the world got darker, Cold War, Korean War, etc.? I don't know how I don't know. I don't really honestly know how they're gonna do that, because the way the Authority was done in the comics was actually the fallout of Stormwatch. So I mean, you could. I mean, honestly, if Gunn wanted to, he probably could. I feel like the Authority is not going to spin out of any real world inspired conflict, or even the JSA. I think it's honestly just going to spin out of shenanigans that are going to take place in some of the other movies and series that we're going to see in this early days Chapter 1 stuff. I think some of the other stuff that we're about to talk about is going to play a factor into that, probably more than most things. But I mean, especially, and I don't know, I wouldn't even say the JSA just if for no other reason than I feel like Gunn is, I'm just basing this off of recent stuff that's happened. He doesn't seem very interested in the idea of the JSA as they are now, or as we have recently seen them in Black Adam. He seems kind of cold on that movie. Hence why I don't think he didn't even make a mention of it. When he did this video. He mentioned every other DC movie but that one. Ed Boy in the Cup with the $5 says, just letting it be known, we have a new black hero at Marvel with Ghostlight. He's a cosmic hero too. Buy the single issues, people. Yeah, no, that's another one. I've been meaning to pump out a video for that one. This has been a wild week. But that is something that is I guess, spoiler alert for upcoming videos dropping. I actually got 3 videos in the crock pot right now. Or actually, no, lies. I actually have 8 videos in the crock pot. 4 that are, I think 3 or 4 of them that are related to stuff that came out this week. And then there's 4 more that are going to be on the Black History Month slate of things. Like I usually try and drop videos more often during Black History Month highlighting black and brown characters. But yeah, do it though. It's at Carter. Did you read it? Did you read the Silver Surfer Ghostlight?
I was confused when I read it because I thought it was a different book and I thought I was getting trolled.
Wait, what book did you think it was?
I don't know what I do. Okay, so the Silver Surfer was on the shelf next to DC Pride.
Yeah.
So when I opened Silver Surfer, I thought like somebody had put Pride in there. So when I opened it and I just see black folks, I just thought it was the DC Pride issue. I didn't look at.
Oh, the DC Power. Okay, yeah, DC Power. I know what you're talking about now. I was like, wait a minute, DC Pride. I was like, that's the gay one. That's the LGBT. That's the LGBT.
Swear to God, it was called DC Pride because the colors were yellow, red, and green. Okay,
African.
Really don't want to say. I really don't. Thank you. But yeah, that's what I thought I was reading at first. So when I just see a bunch of black folks and I ain't seen not nan space surfer that is any color at any point, I just kind of put it back down. And then I saw somebody else going to the register to buy it, and then they were just talking about it, and that's when I went back to it. And I'm like, well, shit, okay, then this is interesting. So
that's hilarious, though. By the way, I just have to point that out. Also, DC Power, our first official DAP up in a comic, I believe, in DC Comics. One of the homies, guy who wrote one of the stories within was actually pretty cool. I thought it was really interesting. But homie Jordan Clark, his sector of it, they had a little dap up in there, and I was like, dude, that's actually really, really awesome.
Yeah, that is my bad, y'all. It was DC Power. You know why I kept saying DC Pride? Because I thought it was DC's way of trying to say Black Pride, so they just put DC Pride and put black folks on the cover.
Well, they could say Black Power, because then folks would have gotten white folks would have got mad, so they just
Of course.
DC
So that's
Power.
why I thought they went the other route and just said Pride for Black Pride, and then you got John Stewart and Joe and all them other motherfuckers on the cover. So I think that's why in my head I kept thinking Pride. So, but yeah, it was DC Power.
Yeah.
That's what I thought I was reading instead of Silver Surfer. But it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I was gonna say, for those that don't know what I'm talking about either, I'm gonna try and pull it up here on the screen. Can I do it that way? Or actually, it doesn't show up as well that way. Here, let's open image in new tab. Let's see if that works. Bam, there you go. But this was the dap up in question. Actually, this is a rather long dap up, but it was basically supposed to be in reference to here. Let's see if I can pull this up as well. I think I have the tweet. Yep, I have the tweet here. It was basically in reference to this. Here, put that down. But yeah, that was basically what it was in reference to. But let's see here. Let's see. Let's get into our next one, man, because we still got more of these to talk about. We got lanterns, Carter. We got lanterns. This is gonna be seemingly loosely taking on the vibe of Green Lantern Earth 1. This is supposed to be an HBO Max series that is gonna star Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan. And
Which really pissed a lot of people off.
Yeah. Well, actually, what I thought was funny about this is that it's because I feel like they basically took the Green Lantern TV series that was going to have Guy Gardner, Alan Scott, so on and so forth, and they just kind of pushed that off to the side, and they retooled it as this kind of buddy cop scenario, which I think is great. I think this is awesome. I like the idea of Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan being buddy cops together, patrolling the sector and protecting the Earth. But I think what got me interested was the way James Gunn described it. He called it True Detective, but in the DC universe, like Cosmic True Detective. I never knew I wanted that. But the whole idea here is that they're going to discover a terrifying mystery tied to the overarching narrative of the new DCU. So, once again, we don't know what that is. Could be anything. A lot of people instantaneously assumed Parallax or Sinestro or something. I don't know if that will be the case. But it'll definitely be something. I don't know, man. What do you think people were what do you think people were more upset about? The fact that it wasn't Jon Stewart by himself, or the fact that Jon Stewart was involved? What do you think it is? Because I've seen a couple of different ways that one went.
So I haven't seen anyone have issues with Jon Stewart. They don't like the fact that it's Hal Jordan. That's what I've seen.
Okay, I see.
I've seen a lot of people
I see you.
I've seen a lot more people saying that they need to get Hal Jordan the fuck out of here. And if you can have, and I don't know if it's just people that's still on the Ryan Reynolds hate train or what, but a lot of people that I've seen have just been like, you can keep Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart is legit. Is maybe a Kyle Rayner, maybe even a Guy Gardner, which I don't see happening because Guy Gardner been taking L's left and fucking right.
Yeah. I would rather be Guy Gardner personally, but that's just me.
Yeah. See,
they have the better relationship. They have the better relationship, I think. That's just me.
Which I'm totally fine with if it's Guy Gardner, because I want to see Guy. I'm still holding out that we're gonna have someone come in and write Guy Gardner the way he was written when Charles Soule took over Red Lanterns, because that was a really, really good Guy Gardner that was in that book, that was being written that well. You know, when we got the Human Target whooping him out, somebody commented on my tweet from when he swung on Dr. Manhattan and got laid down. He's just the butt of every joke. So if it was Guy Gardner and John Stewart, that would be legit to me.
Yeah.
But as it stands, this was the one that I'm really the most excited for. I could give a fuck if it's Hal Jordan. For James Gunn to say true detective in the DC universe, he has to know what kind of shit is going to start moving in people's heads, the cogs that are going to start spinning when someone hears something like that. I was a big fan of the first season of True Detective. I enjoyed the second season, even though a lot of people really hated the second season. I enjoyed the third season as well with Mahershala. And the matter of fact, this shit had Blade and Deacon Frost in the third season of True Detective. So for him to say that, that's the one I am really excited to see, because with it being space cops, and that's what the Green Lanterns are, you could really do some twisted out there stories, which is pretty much what the first season of True Detective was. So that's the one that I am probably the most excited for out of all of these. That's my number one series that I'm waiting on.
Once again, that's like you said, I don't have beef with Hal Jordan. I don't get the Hal Jordan hate. I mean, I get it. I think a lot of people are just tired of him because they'd rather see their Kyle Rayners, their Guy Gardners, their John Stewarts. I totally get that aspect of it. I just outright hate Hal Jordan. But for me, and I know, and who knows, maybe they could set this up down the road. Giving us John Stewart and Hal Jordan, I think, works. But eventually, somewhere down the road, I would love to see something closer to a Hal, I think I've talked about this before, how much I love Hal Jordan in the Green Lantern Corps series that came out during the early days of DC Rebirth. But I would love to see a Four Corpsmen situation. That's the reason why I want that. I think I have put this on blast multiple times, but yeah, this is actually one of my favorite scenes from from that comic. He's like, man, 4 legs on a table. He's like, shit. He's like, man, 4 walls in a house, 4 seats in a Mustang GT. And for inexplicable reasons, Guy Gardner looks like John Cena, but hey, I'll take it. I would love to see that kind of a setup where you got all 4 of like the core Green Lanterns. I would love to see all of them like in one. And honestly, somewhere down the road, bring all the rest up. You can bring in Jessica Cruz with Simon Baz. You can bring in hell, I would love to see Joe Mullen from Far Sector. Throw her up in there too. I feel like with the start of this, you could kick off with just a couple of them and then slowly build up. Like, let's say they do a season 2 of Lanterns. They say, hey, we're bringing in Kyle Rayner. We're bringing in Joe. Hey, we're bringing in Guy Gardner. We're bringing in everybody else. I'd be perfectly fine with that. You got to crawl before you walk. I think the problem is everybody is wanting every character to be represented immediately. And there's a lot of Green Lanterns. There's almost too many of them. I feel like there's 2 things DC has too many of. Or actually 3 things. No. Yeah, 3 things. Too many people wearing the Superman symbol on their chest. Too many motherfuckers with super speed. And too many motherfuckers with green rings. It's way too many of them. Now, here's the part where I screamed. And Carter, I'm pretty sure you may have screamed and or shit yourself as well. I don't know. But for me, one thing I can definitely say is of the things that I did not expect. Like if we were playing bingo, We're playing James Gunn DCU bingo. The one thing that I personally did not expect was for James Gunn to let the words "the authority" slip from his mouth. And once again, something we've been talking about in the chat a lot, but this is going to be a film. This is not a TV series. This will be a film version of the authority, bringing the authority to the big screen. For those that may or may not remember, this was like early 2000s, like early aughts.
This was the first issue was 99.
99. Okay, so yeah, right before the turn. This book came out when people still thought that a computer virus was gonna literally destroy the world. We still thought Y2K was gonna be a thing. This book, and honestly, I don't really give a flying squirrel fart about the other characters that would potentially show up in this. I do not care. I don't care. I can't bring myself to care because none of them were as important to me as Midnighter and Apollo. None of them were as important to me as Midnighter and Apollo. Those are the characters that I was like, when they made it, as soon as they said authority, I didn't hear authority. Everybody else might have heard authority. I didn't hear authority. I heard Midnighter and Apollo. That's all I heard. Fuck everything else that you could potentially say after that. But that was me. I don't know what about you, Carter?
So I was working when this announcement came out. So I get a notification on my phone for Twitter. I ignore it because I'm at work. And then I get another notification, and then I get another notification, and then I get another and another and another. And that's when I see that you fucking tag me in Here Comes Midnighter. And I'm just sitting there like, what the fuck is Ernie talking about? And that's when I see the authority trending. And that's when I see James Gunn trending. So that's when I actually sit down and watch the video. And as soon as I see it, I'm happy that my office door was closed, and I'm happy that I have my own office, which, yes, that's a humble brag. But I was happy my office door was closed because I went crazy because I had brought Midnighter to work with me that day because I'm rereading it. But just taking people's advice, Midnighter came home, and I've just been reading or trying to start to read The Authority. So that's the one I was really excited. And then at the same time, I was really fucking shocked because a movie? That's what completely threw me for a fucking loop. I couldn't believe that he has that much faith in it.
Yeah.
To do a movie and not go the safe route of maybe an animated series where you could do a lot more, or a live action series which won't cost nearly as much. So just to put your best foot forward and put it as a movie. And then someone in the chat, I think it was Rakeem, which was actually a really good comment from you, brother. This could very easily be something that's a spin-off that's coming from Waller, because that is a government sanctioned team.
Yeah.
And that'd be a fucking way to make me watch Waller.
Yeah. If
I get to see her meeting Apollo and Midnighter and all these different characters, I'm like, that would be legit.
Yeah. I actually, and that's something I didn't even consider, the idea that you could spin that out of Waller. And honestly, of anything I've heard anyone say, that makes the most sense. Of anything and everything I've heard anyone say regarding how you could bring the Authority to the DCU, that is the only thing that I think makes a lick of sense, is to have them be something that Amanda, like, whether it's you have her as the one who puts the team together, or is ultimately the one who gets these people in the same room and they just go off and decide to do their own thing. Regardless, I would eat that shit up. I would eat it up. 100%. But I just think, and once again, the images that were used to depict what it was they were going for, they did use literally it was a cover for The Authority #1, which was written by Warren Ellis. But I'm here for it. I'm 100% here for it. I'm curious to see, like, who they get to play these characters. I think it's safe to say you could probably assume that characters like the Engineer, definitely a mocap situation. But like I would love to see who would play Midnighter and Apollo. Like,
what came first? Was it Planetary or the Authority?
Ooh. I want to say the
only reason I ask is because there is Solely Walker, and also I think Ed Boy said it as well, that they were hoping with this announcement we get a Planetary series. And wasn't Midnighter in Planetary?
Yeah. Planetary came first. Planetary did come first.
Okay, so that's what I need to read before Authority. All right.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, no, honestly, I would. I honestly would. But no, Midnighter himself, if I remember correctly, got his start in, I believe, was in the Authority. I might be misremembering, but let's see. I could be here. I'm double checking myself.
Oop, never mind. Authority came first.
Oh, Authority. Wait.
They just
Planetary
both came
was.
from.
Oh, I see. Okay, they came out the same year.
Okay, got you.
Yeah, they came out the same year. Because, like, yeah, Planetary came out in 1999. Authority, or actually, let's be more specific. The Planetary was it 1999, May of 1999. The Authority, that was, let's see, Authority number. Oh, actually, yeah, May, same year. They came out the same month. Pretty much. They literally came out about the same month. So take that how you wanna. But I mean, honestly, if you do the Authority, I wouldn't be mad at Planetary. I wouldn't be mad if James Gunn pulled Stormwatch out of his ass. And honestly, this gives me hope because he's using stuff from the Wildstorm universe. And if that is the case, this opens the door not just for future stuff with Midnighter and Apollo, but for me, the thing I'm thinking about is this opens the door for Wildcats, and that's it for me right there. Because other than the Authority, other than Stormwatch, Youngblood had its moments, but Wildcats was easily one of my favorite things from that era of Wildstorm. Let's see. Do we have any? I'm going back and looking. I mean, let's hit up some of these. We got some super chats and some channel memberships. Hey, we got the homie Taco coming in hot with the Blerd Club Gold. I saw your message. It said that you liked said 10 out of 10 membership video, by the way. Thank you for that. I actually scripted that. That was a script. I wrote a script. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for that. We also got Gokon Shuri's baby's father with a $2 super chat. Says Lanterns is James Gunn's Bad Boys, Mike and Marcus.
I really hope not. I really hope it's more so True Detective than Bad Boys.
Yeah. Could you imagine Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan looking at each other and saying Bad Boys for life or Green Lanterns for life? Could you see that? Could you see that shit? Oh my God. I would cancel my HBO Max subscription right then and there. Knowing good and hell well I'm still trying to get caught up on Succession. Let's see here. We got a Revolutionary Dragon with the $5 says, what if what they find is Blackest Night? Okay, first off, let me just say this right now. If James Gunn pulls Blackest Night out his ass for the opening chapter of the DC universe, I would holler. Because that means if he in any way, shape, form, or fashion is trying to put together Blackest Night, if he I'm not saying overarching it's gonna be over he's gonna set up for the next Green Lantern season. No, what I'm saying is if it was one of those deals where kind of like how Marvel set up Thanos and like over the course of 10 years was kind of built up to that. If he pulled some shit like that where it was like, oh yeah, I'm setting up Blackest Night, everything's gonna culminate in this huge Blackest Night movie, I would be like, bruh. How much money is DC putting on this? Because that to make Blackest Night, do you know how much money you would require? How many bodies you would require? That'd be literally one of the most ambitious things anyone could ever make. Do you think they could even do Blackest Night? Do you think they could pull that off successfully?
That's big dick energy if that's how you want to start the show.
I'm just saying.
You wouldn't play people for fools. And what I mean by that is if you just start pulling out these different characters that have never been on the big screen, but as a comic fan, everyone knows who they are. We're skipping intros and shit like that. You just got all these people coming out. That would be bold as shit to do.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Extra with the $10 super chat says, hey fellas, just slide in real quick to show some love before I hit these streets. Have a great weekend. Get them likes up. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Please and thank you. Get them likes up, please. Because I think we are sitting at 336 people here. Only got 132 likes. Brother, that is... Y'all are robbing me. Y'all robbing me at 200 likes. Come on, let's go. Let's go. I want them. But no, that said, let's move on to our next one. We got Chi-Town Dan, the Night Skin King, with the $5 says, let it be Hal and John investigate the prophecy leading to the War of the Lanterns. I will turn into that. He said, I'll tune into that faithfully. I'd be interested in seeing that as well. I think, honestly, right now, I feel like James Gunn, I don't want to say he can't do any wrong, but as far as like his ambition, I feel like let him cook. Let's let him cook. Let's see what he's got. I think DC should just let that man have it. Like give him what was it? What was it? Abigail Brand had in X-Men Red. She had the Shield black budget. She had the black budget credit card. Give James Gunn the black budget. Let him just rack up money. Just rack up receipts. That's what I want to see. So that way we are almost certain to get something good. And then we also got Destined for Glory 1 with the $5 super chat sticker. You can't really see it on here, but it's the ha 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 ha, the little pear shaped. Actually, I think it is a pear. It is a pear. Laughing. I'm dead. We also got Tyrone D with the $10 says, great stream as always. You're actually making me care about DC live action movies again. Yeah, hey, that's what we're here for. We're here to spread the news. Because James Gunn is definitely making me care about the DC movie slate going forward. We also got Jonathan Moda coming in here with 1999 super chat. Says, is it time for a jazz break? Remember that? Get those likes up. I'm just saying, man, because I will do it. I will do it. Thank y'all for that. I guess let's go ahead and jump into our next thing. I think this might be the one I'm probably the least hyped for. And what I mean by that is not that I think that this is something bad. It's just something that I need to hear more before I get excited. And that is Paradise Lost. This is going to be a series, it's going to be an HBO Max series spun from the Wonder Woman side of things. And is basically described as being Game of Thrones, but Wonder Woman related, like dealing with the island of Themyscira. I don't really have anything. I don't really have anywhere else to go with it. I'm sure it would be interesting. I love Game of Thrones. I love House of the Dragon. I love fantasy in general, so I mean, this is technically already in my wheelhouse, so I can't really be more excited for it than I probably already would have been, but just because I think this is the one we got the least amount, I think this is the one we got the second least amount of info on. and it's probably the thing that I'm the least interested in out of everything. And just for clarification, I'm interested in everything they announce, but just of all the things, it's the one I'm the least interested in. But what about you, Carter? What do you think about Paradise Lost, HBO Max series? What do you think about that?
There's a lot that they could do with it, especially if he's referencing Game of Thrones with it. And I'm thinking he's just saying that more so as it's the mascara and it's a fantasy setting.
Yeah.
But he didn't say anything about Patty Jenkins being involved, so
that's a feather in the cap. No Patty Jenkins. I'm good with it.
And plus, the one thing I don't think people paid any attention to was that he didn't explicitly just say Wonder Woman. So you could deal with other Amazons, certain Amazons that were in future state that made a few people mad and things of that nature. So there's a lot of different Amazonian characters that could get brought up in this series. So I'm excited for it. But I think the biggest takeaway from it, in all honesty, Patty Jenkins wasn't mentioned. So
I mean, okay, so here's my thing with it.
For the people on Spotify, I did a thumbs up. Y'all can't see it though, and Stitcher and iHeartRadio and all that good stuff. Yeah, we did thumbs up, or I did thumbs up.
I did it too. You couldn't see it on the because I did mine like off. Mine was over here.
Gotcha.
But yeah, no, thumbs up. No, 100%. I do not want Patty Jenkins anywhere near my precious Wonder Woman for the foreseeable future or ever again. Matter of fact, never ever again. Like in the tones of Chris Jericho. But no, I want to be excited. I want to be hype. But I feel like it. Okay, I will say this. This is something I just kind of assumed. I think this series might be completely divorced from Wonder Woman. And what I mean is it won't have Wonder Woman in it. Like, I think there might be a Wonder Woman in it, but it probably won't be Diana. Because this, I don't know, the way that he was talking about it, it almost kind of seemed like it was a prequel. Like it was something that takes place, like, before Diana. Which I would find really interesting. That's just me. If Diana Prince is actually in it, that's fine too. I don't have any beef with that, but I would love to see other Amazons explored other than Diana. I feel like I know quite a bit about Diana. There's very little anyone could tell me about Wonder Woman that I don't already know. Not saying that that's not the same for general audiences, but I feel like general audiences would see this as a Game of Thrones clone and tune in anyway just on curiosity alone. HBO kind of has that cachet with
it's a good start because you could very easily kind of gauge people's opinions on who you would want to bring in as Wonder Woman in this James Gunn DCU, because there's no guarantee that it's going to be Diana. So you could very easily do this show, gauge people's interest in certain characters, and then play off that into whatever movie comes down the line with a Batman, Superman, Trinity kind of deal. So,
well, another thing I will say too, real quick, and then we'll move on to the next thing is, you know what vibes this announcement gave me? It gave me Krypton vibes. Like, you know, Krypton. Did you ever watch Krypton?
The sci-fi stuff?
Yeah.
Like an episode or two?
Okay, yeah. For those that are talking about, Krypton was that show where there was no Superman in it. It focused on, like, the early days of Krypton. Like, you know, pre-Superman, kind of, you know, setting up all that stuff. That's kind of the vibe. Not saying, you know, in terms of quality, but just in terms of premise. That's kind of what it sounded like to me. It sounded like Krypton, but Wonder Woman related, if that makes any sense. The next thing, and this is actually something I got excited for, really excited, is Brave and the Bold. Bear in mind, not called Batman Brave and the Bold, it's just called Brave and the Bold. This is going to be how James Gunn is going to introduce Batman to the DCU. And what I like about this, and I think this is why you kind of have to have a slightly older Batman and why people are understanding why this needs to be a thing. I'm going to explain why this needs to be a thing. Carter, we talked about this earlier, but I'm going to really break it down for everybody because I think they didn't understand. The reason why you need a slightly older Batman, you know, at least slightly older than Superman, is because Batman has experienced, at least as far as we know, just based on what he's what James Gunn gave a nod to about Brave and the Bold is that he's basing this on Grant Morrison's Batman, where Damian Wayne was introduced, and we know for a fact Damian Wayne is going to be the Robin that is featured in this film. So the thing you have to take away from this is that not only does Batman have a whole ass son running around, who's running around in the tights and shanking folks when Batman ain't looking, we've also got to take, it's safe to assume Dick Grayson is already Nightwing by this point. It's safe to assume Tim Drake has already moved on to like Red Robin or something. It's safe to assume that Batgirl has gone from being Batgirl to Oracle and back again. There's a lot of this announcement implies the Bat family, because he does actually mention the Bat family. The Bat family is already in place, which means, and this is something I've said for a long time, I think, like, especially when they were talking about the Batman early on, before we even knew what that movie was going to look like, I have constantly said, I feel like we don't need movies setting up Robin, setting up Spoiler, setting up Batgirl, setting up Orphan, setting up The Signal, setting up...
He's doing what Spider-Man Homecoming did, to where we don't need to see Uncle Ben die for the umpteenth time.
Right.
That's already in play. You people already know, so there's no reason to waste money to do that. We can just go right into it.
Just get to it. There's a huge Bat family. I don't need you to give me 10 movies setting all this shit up. Just go straight to it. We're not stupid. We get it. We understand when we see Batman, people naturally expect to see Robin. It's weird when Robin ain't there. At least on the cell phone talking to him or something. But this got me excited, because it feels like I'm getting closer to what I've always wanted from, a Batman, anything. Like, I don't know, Carter, as far as you're concerned, did this move the needle? Did this move the needle for you any at all?
I like that I don't know, what I just said previously kind of answers that question for me.
Yeah.
I like that he's not making it seem like I don't know that Damian is a thing, that Talia won't be a thing, so I like that they're not trying to play us for fools, in a sense, or thinking that we have to do all of this background intro shit just to get to the nitty gritty of it. So did it move the needle? Yes, just because he's not prolonging it.
Right. Well, I mean, like, because here's my thing. Here's my thing with this. And more importantly, why I'm excited is that, could you imagine a Batman movie, Carter? Could you imagine a Batman movie? And I'm not saying all these folks have to be here. Could you imagine turning on a Batman movie? You just or walking to the theater to watch a Batman movie, and you see this squad just chilling on the screen, just chilling. Like, do you imagine you saw that right there? It's like, bruh.
If James Gunn could remember, if James Gunn could remember that Signal was a thing when the comic can't, that would be wild.
Oh no, 100%. But this film is touted as being the beginning of the Bat family. It says it's going to be inspired by Grant Morrison's Batman. I mean, that's pretty much it. And Damian, he's already admitted, is his favorite Robin, so there you go. The next thing that I think we have to talk about here is Booster Gold. HBO Max series Booster Gold is coming to the DCU. And seemingly might be inspired more by Keith Giffen's Booster Gold. For those that may or may not have read, that was Past Imperfect. which was a pretty solid Booster Gold series if ever there was one. But this right here is basically what James Gunn says is going to be the superhero story equivalent of Imposter Syndrome, which I immediately jived with. But Carter, did you hear some of the discourse around this series? Did you hear what people were automatically assuming because James Gunn is overseeing this DC universe and because of the silly nature of Booster Gold? People are already prophesizing that Chris Pratt is going to be Booster Gold.
So the only thing I can really say about Booster Gold, and just it actually goes to your point of speaking on actors, is that show is going. Whoever is playing Booster, that's what's going to make or break that show to me.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%. Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, but the thing is, I feel like... I feel like there are other actors who could portray a character like Booster Gold and do it incredibly well. I personally would not want to see Chris Pratt as Booster Gold. Me personally. But I don't even know who I would want to see play him on a series of that magnitude. But I think it's safe to say that whatever it is that's going to happen, it's going to be silly. It will probably be irreverent. I think, if anything, the closest, probably one of the closer equivalents to anything we could probably expect it to be like. I wouldn't be shocked if it was kind of, in terms of comedic tone. I wouldn't be surprised if it did take on some of the elements that we have seen from stuff like Guardians of the Galaxy or Deadpool or She-Hulk, so on and so forth. I wouldn't be surprised by any of that, but yeah, I don't have an actor in mind that I could imagine playing this character, but if anything, I think it definitely is something that is off the beaten path, and it's not something I would have personally expected to see. So I'm in for it. I'm in for a penny and for a pound.
Tyrone D asked the question of, but why though? Who asked for this? Who the fuck asked for? And I'm not saying this to you to kind of like get at you or anything, Tyrone, but who the fuck asked for Guardians of the Galaxy? Because I sure shit didn't. Who the fuck asked for Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel? Because I sure shit didn't. You know, who asked for Thor: The Dark World to be as bad as it was with the villain they put in it? Because I sure shit didn't. So I say all that to say, sometimes you are really, even the shit that you didn't ask for, you can still be surprised at when it ends up being that you enjoy it. Because shitload of people enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy. A bunch of people like Carol Danvers' Captain Marvel film. There are several people who like Thor: The Dark World, even though all they really like is Kat Dennings in it. So you can't really say that anymore, just because you will always be surprised at something. You will end up walking out of the theater and just being like, oh shit, this was actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. So that's me answering that question.
I mean, so I'll throw you one better. I'll even throw you one better. Sometimes we have to step outside of ourselves, because I remember people saying the same thing about the recent Avatar movie, like when it was initially announced. There were people like, who is this even for? Who gives a shit about Avatar? I've seen a lot of people say that. And here's the thing you have to remember. Just because you don't give a shit about something doesn't mean that everyone else shares your worldview. Because that movie, Avatar: The Way of Water, made $2.1 billion in the box office. Worldwide. So, I mean, somebody gave a shit. It's the same way, Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel was one of the most, at the time that the movie was announced, Captain Marvel was actually one of the most requested MCU films. Alongside, Captain Marvel and Black Panther were tied for most requested MCU films. Hence, why they made them. And why they announced them around roughly the same time. Kevin Feige is quoted as saying this, that those were the things that people asked for the most. The idea that something doesn't appeal to a person or even a certain group of people doesn't make that a monolith or doesn't make it the end-all be-all. Like, I mean, I'll be the first one to say it. Nobody was asking for at least, and when I say nobody, I'm referring to a certain sector of the white community. None of them were asking for a Black Panther movie. I've actually heard a lot of white people say that nobody was asking for it. And the reason why they say that is because they're only thinking about themselves. Sometimes you got to step outside of it. Like, I'll be brutally honest. When Guardians of the Galaxy was announced, first thing I said was, who the fuck asked for this? And sure enough, turned out to be good. So, I mean, the pessimistic approach can be appealing to some. I choose not to have it because you never know. I mean, you might fuck up and like something. There are a lot of things that I initially went into thinking I would not enjoy and walked out really enjoying. So I feel if you leave yourself open, you will enjoy more things. That is my takeaway on that. But speaking of enjoying more things, Carter, this is the announcement that let me know what to expect from James Gunn in the future going forward as a whole. Or at least what is possible for the DC universe going forward. And that was his announcement of a Supergirl film. And once again, there will probably be people asking, who the fuck is this for? Who asked for this? Well, James Gunn did. James Gunn, apparently, as he said in his video, he loved Tom King's Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which, honestly, even by my own opinion, is a pretty damn good comic. And he wants to translate that to the big screen, and that's something that told me what his intentions are going forward for the DCU, that if James Gunn likes a certain comic, he's going to put it in the DCU. Maybe not everything that he loves, but a lot of the things that you hear him talk about in the video, it was all stuff that he gave a shit about. He loves the Creature Commandos. He loves the Authority. Matter of fact, he even said Authority was something he had been wanting to make ever since he read the comic. He loved Tom King's Supergirl. Thus, he wants to take that same idea and put it on the big screen with a more, I don't even want to say sardonic take on Supergirl, but just a Supergirl who's not the same bubbly, cheery Supergirl that people may or may not be used to. She's not exactly like Clark Kent. She's a more jaded character than what Clark is. She's a character who's literally witnessed all the worst things in the universe that could possibly happen to someone. She has witnessed it, and that shapes who she becomes. That is more or less the idea James Gunn is going with. But did you read Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, Carter?
No, that's something I might actually add to the list just because I didn't realize Tom King ever wrote a Supergirl book. So that's something I'm most definitely going to add. Can I say one thing, though?
Go ahead, shoot.
I saw this on Twitter, and I see someone actually saying it in the chat right now. That they managed to buy the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow book before it was sold out. That's another really dope thing that this announcement did from James Gunn, is by referencing these other books, a lot of people just went out and bought those books. So I think that was another really cool thing that was done with these announcements.
To add on to what you just said, Booster Gold, the Past Imperfect book, it saw increased sales. I don't think it sold out, but it went to the point that it was in limited quantity. So here's the thing. You may say, and going back to it again, people may say, who is this for? Who gives a shit? Apparently a lot of people. Apparently a lot of people are excited. And I'll be honest with you, I wasn't even excited for Tom King's Supergirl when it came out. but it's actually a pretty good book.
Like I said, I didn't know he wrote a Supergirl book. The only Supergirl experience I have is when she was in Red Lanterns, and that was pretty interesting, and that was pretty wild when she was a Red Lantern. That's all I have. But yeah, this will most definitely be a book that I'll check out at some point.
Yeah, and like I said, we don't really know much about the movie beyond that. That's really all we know. The other thing, and this is the last thing that was announced, was Swamp Thing, which I thought was actually the last thing I expected them to announce. Almost, actually, I say almost, because a Supergirl movie and an Authority movie were also very high on my list of things. The Authority being the highest of things I did not expect them to announce. Swamp Thing, which for all intents and purposes, based on the imagery he showed, is going to be based off Alan Moore's Swamp Thing, which I think is fantastic. This is great news. Let's go. But yeah, he doesn't really tell us anything about what the story of Swamp Thing is going to be. I think it's safe to say it has no connection whatsoever to the TV show that was on the DC Universe streaming app, and then eventually migrated to the CW. I don't think it's going to have anything to do with that. This is also the only announcement, Carter, that James Gunn was very specific in saying is not canon to the DCU, at least not in the way everything else is going to be. Like, he mentions that there'll be some connections, but it's outside of the normal DCU. This is like
which made me think maybe, hopefully, fingers crossed, because it was really, really good, they bring some of that back from that canceled series.
Oh, yeah, no, same. That's kind of where my mind was going with, like, maybe there might be some I don't know. Maybe because James Gunn seems to be very current on a lot of DC stuff. And we all know he likes weird shit. And when I say weird shit, I'm not saying it as a pejorative. I'm not saying that these comics are bad. I'm just saying stuff that's off the beaten path, stuff that's like not the normal shtick. He really likes stuff like that. And, I mean, you could watch any of his movies and tell that he likes obscure or off-the-beaten-path stuff. So it makes sense that he would probably pull from something like a canceled Swamp Thing series. But that said, as far as I'm aware, the only other thing that we know about this is that it will be directed by James Mangold, which is a pretty big name in filmmaking. For those unfamiliar, I think people are probably the most familiar with him because of things like The Wolverine and Logan, because he did direct both of those. He's also directing the upcoming Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And he is also the director of one of my favorite Western remakes, 3:10 to Yuma. So I've long been a fan of James Mangold. So yeah, I'm in. Yeah, you said Swamp Thing, I was already in. You said James Mangold's attached, I'm in. So yeah, some people will take his involvement one way or the other. Yeah, but it is what it is. That is pretty much all the announcements that he made, Carter. With I guess the very final thing, and this was just more of a statement of intent, that he said the key things for the DCU going forward are storytelling. And the director's vision coming first, as well as the other creatives working on these projects, their visions coming first. Now, I know a lot of people took that as a shot at Marvel Studios, but it wasn't. If anything, that was a shot at the old DC. Because James Gunn even came out later and said that Warner Brothers was just giving away properties to whoever was willing to take them. That they were also very willing to step in and meddle a lot. They just didn't really know what the hell they were doing. And now there is structure. So yeah, and for those that still believe it was a shot at Marvel, James Gunn has been open about the fact that Marvel has never really told him no. Like when he said he wanted to have Ego the Living Planet in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Marvel didn't tell him no. They said sure. And the reason why that's a big deal is because Marvel didn't own the rights to Ego the Living Planet at the time. So it was they actually went out of their way to cut a deal with Fox, and this was before the Disney Fox deal, to make that work. So once again, maybe in the past, like the old Marvel studios used to meddle a lot. They don't really meddle that much anymore. They just have a plan, and as long as everything is within that plan, they don't give a shit. You got to have a plan, and that's just the thing. A lot of people won't like that, but you have to have a plan. You just can't have a bunch of people doing willy-nilly shit. Which is why which is probably a good thing why people like Quentin Tarantino, Martin Scorsese, so on and so forth, or your James Camerons would never do Marvel shit. They probably would never do DC shit either. But Carter, there's something else that I wanted to ask you about regarding this stuff. Okay. Did you follow up on any of the stuff regarding the video game situation with DC?
No, the only thing I'd seen is everyone was really mad that Suicide Squad looks like it's going to be live service, but we don't know for sure yet.
Right.
They're just going off of one shot that was seen. Speaking as someone who probably shouldn't say this, but everything that I've seen, it don't look that bad. No. We've seen far worse. And people have paid for far worse. But that's the only thing I've seen when it pertains to games.
Mm-hmm. So, earlier we were talking about how, James Gunn wants consistency across the entire DCU, same actors for everything.
Yeah.
Not just in movies and TV shows, but also in animation. And a lot of people, and James Gunn kind of implied that this also applied to video games. Which he didn't technically say or didn't say. But this has raised a lot of ire in the video game community, specifically with devs. But there was a guy by the name of Del Walker, who's a character artist for Naughty Dog, who basically went on a Twitter tirade about how he would never work on a DC game ever again. I honestly don't know if he's ever actually worked on a DC game before. But he said that basically no one can outdo what voice actors like Harley Quinn actress Tara Strong does. And says that while they may have like the star power, but voice actors do the same lines over and over again, 100 to 600 times for each and every line. He says, would you expect someone like Robert Pattinson to redo all his lines that many times for the same price as a Tara Strong, or God rest his soul, a Kevin Conroy, if we want to do like a 1-to-1 scenario? I mean, I don't know, Carter, what do you think? What do you think?
Shut your ass up, dog. That's what the fuck I think. If he wants consistency like this, if these are actors, they can be trained a certain way. Sorry if you all heard that fucking thing, but
you're good.
They can be trained, and you can show them certain things. But again, I'm pretty sure DC wasn't even looking for you to do something. They're not discrediting anybody. They're not discrediting Tara Strong. They're not discrediting Kevin Conroy or anything like that. No. They just want to go a certain route, and they can do that if they choose to.
Yeah.
The fuck are people? Shut your ass up, dude.
Well, here's my thing. Here's my take on it. I get where he's coming from. However, one of the key things I remember, one of the biggest criticisms I remember about the Avengers video game, before we even knew what it played like, was that none of the characters looked like their MCU counterparts. That was actually the biggest criticism of the game. before anyone even knew how it played or that it was a live service game or anything. I constantly remember hearing people say, man, Black Widow doesn't look like ScarJo. Captain America doesn't look like Chris Evans. So and so and so and so and so forth. Yeah, everybody was mad that Iron Man didn't look like Robert Downey Jr. It was it was almost exhausting to that point. And I get where he's coming from a cost perspective. But here's the thing. The devs aren't going to be paying these people if these people are going to be used. Now, yeah, there may be some prima donna-isms that pop out of, like, getting someone like a Robert Pattinson or a Jason Mimosas or an Ezra Choke-a-Bitch Millers, you know, this, that, and the other. But the thing is, who's to say they couldn't do the same lines less times and turn out better takes than a seasoned voice actor? And I could even make a case for why you shouldn't hire Hollywood voice actors sometimes, because sometimes they don't do a good job. I think, what was it, Carter? We talked about, this wasn't in a case of a video game, but I can think of one of the first things that comes to my mind is when I was talking about the Green Lantern Beware My Power animated movie. How the voice
Aldous
actor,
Hodge.
yeah, Aldous Hodge, I felt like he was phoning in his lines, and he's a good actor, but I felt like he was just reading. And I'll even go back to some older Marvel video games that were like based on movies. A lot of those times they felt like they were just reading. I mean, the only point I will give the guy who made that comment, Del Walker, is that there are very few Hollywood voice actors who actually full-on throw themselves into voice work. Mark Hamill is one of the few. And it's honestly because he doesn't really do live action anymore. I mean, he does, but nowhere near as much as he does voice acting. And I think he also mentioned Haley Joel Osment, who, you know, some might recognize as the voice of Sora in Kingdom Hearts. And I think, once again, I don't really keep up with Haley Joel Osment that much, but I don't really see him in much either. outside of that. Firaxis's Midnight Suns had a more level-headed take on the matter. The lead dev on Midnight Suns, Jake Solomon, said, not so much criticizing the idea, but just wondering how it would work from a structure standpoint. Basically, he said by his estimation, if he had to get all the MCU actors and everything rounded up to do the Midnight Suns game, he said it would have been a logistical nightmare. Because you're also dealing with scheduling at that point. Which, to be fair, he does actually have two Hollywood actors in the game. Michael Jai White plays Blade. Lyric Akana plays Nico. But I mean, that's pretty much it as far as like big or even mid-size named actors go for that game. So I mean, like, from that perspective, I'm kind of like, okay, I can see where you're coming from there. But just saying that a Hollywood voice actor couldn't turn in a stronger performance as a seasoned voice actor, I think is a little bit disingenuous.
I can even help your argument, even though I was just against what this dude is saying.
Yeah.
You look at somebody like J.K. Simmons, who's been the Yellow M&M for fucking years.
Yep.
And then he goes on to be Omni-Man. And there were several cases, in my opinion, where that voice acting wasn't hitting.
Mm-hmm.
Thing is, through each episode, it got better. And now that he has a voice and he knows that character, I'm pretty sure he's going to knock it out of the park next season. And that's what I mean here. Is just that don't just write these Hollywood actors off just because you don't think they can hold a candle to live action voice. You're not even giving them the chance to.
No, not even.
I would be down for a Robert Pattinson Batman game right the fuck now.
Oh, yeah.
Why? Because he's already done the movie. So he's already going to have the voice. He's already going to have the character down. So that's why I think it's really dope what they're doing here, because you know these characters now, so you have them. Like if you do a Christopher Judge as a Kratos, I would see that in a movie because he has it. He got the character down now. So again, I can see where he's coming from, but at the same time, these are trained Hollywood actors. They can You can train them in something else, especially with millions on the table, to where they, if you fuck up, you just lost out. So no, I think they can be given a chance.
Yeah. Oh no, I'll even take a often maligned Cyberpunk 2077, which has Keanu Reeves as Johnny Silverhand, and will soon have Idris Elba as a character I don't think we know the name of yet in its upcoming DLC. They're Hollywood actors. Now, granted, I will say you could probably make a case for the fact that Keanu Reeves is just playing himself, but just with a more dickish quality in Cyberpunk 2077. I mean, because his tone and mannerisms and whatnot are pretty much just himself. But but he's still performing a character. Like, even my wife, when watching me play Cyberpunk 2077, even pointed out that she's like, why this just sounds like Keanu Reeves being Keanu Reeves. She's like, he is a dick in this game. She was like, this is very, like, against the type of character we're used to seeing him play. And it wasn't like he turned in a shitty performance. He did a really good job. I'm assuming Idris Elba is going to do a fantastic job in the Cyberpunk 2077 DLC. But yeah, all of that said, I say just give him a chance. Get him where you can, and if you can't get him, whatever. What was it? The same, honestly, when it comes to video games, I honestly don't even really care if they get the same actors, because I just never think of the video games as being connected anyway. Though that said, James Gunn, and the reason why a lot of people are saying that it very likely be the case he's going to use these same actors, is because the comment he made about where the video games will play in, that they won't just be, oh, we have Superman movie coming out, Superman Legacy coming out, so we got Superman Legacy video game that's going to be a it's going to be basically the movie, but in video game form. He was like, no, he said, we'll do Superman Legacy, and then maybe Supergirl comes out a little later, and somewhere in the middle, you'll probably get the Superman game. That kind of explains what's going on in between the two movies. So that's why I think people are kind of thinking in that direction. But I mean, honestly, I don't care. I personally do not give a shit. Man, let's get this super chats. I know we got some super chats in here I want to take a look at real quick. We got one here from Solly Walker. The Four says, I want a Dakotaverse in HBO Max. If they can do Creature Commandos, I want Blood Syndicate. Well, here's the thing. You're going to get that. These things are, I mean, not Blood Syndicate per se, but they've already, and this thing I kept seeing people say when all this DC gods and monster stuff was going on, I got to the point I was sick of repeating myself. Every time I saw someone bring up, man, why did he say nothing about Dakotaverse? Why did he say nothing about Static? Why did he say nothing about Icon and Rocket? This, that, and third. And I'm just like, because they already announced a Static movie 2 years ago. And a DC animated movie a year ago. That's why they didn't say anything. And probably because Milestone isn't a part of the DC Comics universe proper. It's its own separate thing. So, yeah. Calm down. Just everybody calm down. Calm down. You're going to get what you want. Just be patient. What was it, Shigeru Miyamoto, was it he said? A rushed game, or it says a delayed game is eventually good, a rushed game is forever bad. The same thing applies to movies. Let these folks cook. Just let them cook. You might get what you want. $5 super chat from LP3 says, someone like Arisha from JLU raising hell on the island like a Lannister from Game of Thrones, that would be interesting. I'd be there for that. I'd be there for that. Let's see here. Oh, wait a minute. Go back, because everything jumped. Did I lose it? Please tell me I didn't lose it. I think I lost one, because the chat jumped on me. I'm going to have to go back, and there's one that I believe got lost in the shuffle here. I'm pulling it up now. Yeah, here it is. We got one $10 super chat from Night19. It says, what's up, Blerd and Carter? I hope that the Greek pantheon is more involved in this new universe, especially since Patty killed them off screen. Give me those Wonder Woman Astoria designs. I would, dude. Yes. 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 I'm not against any of that. I'm not against any of that at all. We also got BS Filter with the $5 super chat. Says, I don't care what material Gunn and Safran draw from, just do the material well. LOL. SnyderVerse idiots should go back into their basements. Yeah, look. I saw someone the other day. I don't know if you saw the same tweet, Carter. I saw someone. They posted a clip from the Snyder Cut where Darkseid was breaking folks off. And they're like, "Oh man, see, this is the best. This is the best thing ever. It's better than anything that the Marvel has ever done. It's the best superhero anything." And I'm like, "This dude. First off, no, stop lying. Take the cap off. Stop the cap. You lying. You're lying right there. That is not. It's a good scene, but it is not the best thing I've ever seen." Darkseid was looking awfully. He was looking awfully thin. That's all I'm gonna say. Not to mention he was looking awfully PS4-ish. But no. Gokon Shuri's baby's father with the $5 super chat says, I can see Blerd doing a backflip and hurting himself if James Gunn announced an Icon or Stag movie. I would actually. I would break my whole damn neck. But I'm not expecting him to announce anything of that magnitude because I feel like, you know, as per usual, I feel like a lot of that stuff is just outside of the DC Comics universe as a whole. And dude, hey, you know what? We actually get to do the new thing. We get to do the new thing, Carter. Because Nick D hit us with a 2000 party over. Oops, out of time. Super chat says, in case of James Gunn and even like Ben Percy, do you appreciate writers appreciating obscure characters? James Gunn with the Authority, Benjamin Percy with X-Force, no spoilers. I sure as hell do. Yes, and this is something that I saw a lot of people criticizing. Carter, did you read X-Force 37?
Yeah, I didn't know who the fuck the engineer was.
Okay, cool. There you go. And here's the thing, I even said it on Twitter. I said I actually had to go back. I had to go back and look. I even had to Google search. I was like, I do not remember this motherfucker. But here's the thing though. That's the beauty of comics, because sometimes you can take a character that no one gave a shit about before, or they gave a shit about but just don't remember, or fill in the blank other reason, and you can make that character great again, or make them more interesting, or expound upon things that were never touched on before. I like it when obscure characters get opportunities to get back into the limelight somehow. So yeah, I'm in for all that. I want to see James, honestly, more obscure characters. I don't need Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman in everything. You know what I'm saying? Make a Martian Manhunter movie. You really want to fuck somebody's head up? Bring back Fire and Ice. Hell, Tom King did. In Human Target. What was it? You know what? Give me an HBO Max series about Gnort. Oh, I would eat that shit up. I would eat it up. 100%. Oh, wait. We got another one here. This is a $4.99 from Sucked. Says, Tobey Maguire voicing the Spider-Man 2 game enhanced the game greatly, like you were playing deleted scenes from the movie. It was the best. I mean, I thought that was cool. But I won't lie and say that I really like Yuri Lowenthal as Spider-Man. Like, I enjoy his inflections, and like I feel like he strikes the best chord, kind of like Kevin Conroy did for Batman. I feel like Yuri Lowenthal strikes the best chord between being the secret identity and the alter ego. Like, I don't know. It seemed like it worked, but yeah, exactly. Is it Fire and who? It's like, who dat? Carter, did you? Let me ask you a question. Be honest. Did you remember who Fire and Ice were when you read that DC not DC but that Human Target book?
Absolutely not.
See, A lot of people don't remember Fire and Ice. They were like, okay, so here, I'm gonna pull something up here. Let me see if I can find this image. Here, can I pull this up? Yeah, open a new tab. This one's gonna be kind of, that was kind of blurry. I don't like that one. But anyway, the whole point of the matter is, is that those were characters who used to be on the Justice League. Those were characters who were on the Justice League. Matter of fact, I saw someone bring up the DC animated stuff. That was where I think a lot of people got to know them at first. But they were like they were a duo, one with, fire powers, as their name would imply, another with ice powers, as their name would imply. But yeah, they were awesome characters. I'll actually go use this image because it's really the only one I got right here. But yeah, right there, bam, that's Fire and Ice right there, back in the old days, back in the comics. They were 80s as fuck. I think, matter of fact, Ice I think her costume even had bell bottoms on them, to some degree or another, or like the big boots, or whatever. Let's see, we're running short on time, so we're going to go ahead and jump to our next thing. That is going to be the announcements we got. We can actually run through these kind of quick, because there's not really a whole lot of information, but we can talk about it, a little bit. Actually, I meant to go through all these as we were talking, and I never did. Anyway, Marvel announces X-Men before the fall. Carter, did you catch up on any of this?
Yeah.
So, what we know thus far is we have got 4 titles spinning out of Sins of Sinister. Which is going to end with, what is it? Sins of Sinister Dominion is, where all that's going to, come to a close. And a lot of people were, and I think rightfully so, getting, a little hype, for some of the stuff that, we got coming up. Let's go and get, let's go and get through, a little bit of this, because what you basically need to know about all of this is that while the fall of X is on the way, we are going to be kicking off the fall of X with a short little stint of comics that are going to be referred to as X-Men Before the Fall. These comics are supposed to help expound upon things from Sins of Sinister and maybe help shed light on some things that are going to be happening during the Fall of X run of X-Men comics, which I'm pretty excited for. So what we do know is that we know Cy Spurrier is going to be kicking things off, as it were. Carter, you been keeping up with Legion of X any? Did you keep up with Legion of X at all?
I actually started reading it again yesterday. I had dropped off of it for a little bit there because I just mostly just focused on Wolverine and X-Force.
I did too.
But I'm catching back up just because I think the last thing I read was right after the back and forth with Legion and Urano. So I'm trying to catch back up with it because I really like Cy Spurrier's Legion stuff. So I'm trying.
I mean, it's fair. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of fell off the book as well, to an extent, for my own reasons. It was mostly just because, like, I was still reading it, but I wasn't like reading it week to week to week to week to week, like, maybe other people, like other people probably were. But for me, I thought it was interesting. They did some really cool stuff, and it kind of seems like they are, Cy Spurrier is just continuing, kind of like what he did with Way of X, how he did Way of X, and he jumped over into, what was that? What was that called? What was the little one shot he did, after Way of X? It was like the Onslaught something. I'm blanking on the name of it right now, The Onslaught Revelation. That's what it was. He's kind of doing the same thing, but he's going to be doing it in the form of a new series called Sons of X, which looks pretty interesting here for those that haven't been keeping up. We know that we're going to see more information about what's going on with Nightcrawler, his mutations, everything going on with his stepmother, Margalie, who is seemingly working with Orcus to some degree or another, and is basically turning him over to them. We also know this is, while that is also going to be a thing, it's also going to focus on what is going to be the battle between Legion and Nimrod for the fate of Krakoa, which I think is a pretty interesting thing, considering how the fight between Legion and Uranos went. This could be very interesting. And then, of course, there's Mother Righteous, who, I put the video out for this the other day. Spoiler alert, if you have not been caught up with Legion of X, but Mother Righteous was, in fact, revealed to be the final Sinister clone, the heart of the Sinister clones. So she's going to be factoring very heavily into this as well. So yeah, I'm curious. What do you think? What do you think about this, Carter? What do you think about this?
I can't really think a lot, just because I haven't really kept up with the Mother Righteous stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Her being, it's making the Sins of Sinister shit bigger than I initially assumed it would be.
Yeah,
and a lot more serious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I kind of wrote the Sins of Sinister stuff off. Not saying that I wasn't enjoying the book or anything like that, but its own little thing that was gonna get kind of over and done with at some point. Just like I looked at it more so like we've referenced this shit several times. Age of X.
Yeah.
That's what I kind of looked at Sins of Sinister as, but with the Mother Righteous reveal and the Sons of X books getting announced and all this Before the Fall stuff, and then the other books that got announced with Apocalypse and all this other madness that's coming out, the Sinister stuff is going to be a way bigger deal than I assumed it would be. So now I'm just kind of more so waiting for the next issue, and I'm kind of focusing on it now and other X books.
Well, it also reaffirmed one of my initial thoughts about Sins of Sinister, and it's that Kieran Gillen read a lot of X-Men Legacy. Because in regards to Mother Righteous, this is why I actually pointed this out in my video, Mother Righteous is not the first time that Sinister has been a woman, or that a Sinister has been a woman. Because the same issues that had Charles with the diamond on his forehead were the same issues that had this.
I think when Fraction was writing it, Sinister was a woman at one point.
Yeah. Also, this was. I think this specific one was when Mike Carey was still in the book. Actually, yeah, this was a Mike Carey issue, but yes, when Matt Fraction was writing, there was I believe you are 110% correct. And you did actually mention the Apocalypse stuff. Let's go ahead and get right to that. Which, by the way, for those if it wasn't obvious, the Sons of X is going to be by Cy Spurrier and Phil Noto, which that's a good team right there. But X-Men Before the Fall, Heralds of Apocalypse. This book I'm very excited for because this is going to be Al Ewing and Luca Pizzari. This is supposed to be about the big bad booty daddy, Apocalypse, making his comeback. And we know Genesis is going to be in tow with him, as we see here on the cover, as well as the rest of the original recipe for Horsemen of the Apocalypse. I'm very excited to see what's going on here because it was stated that we're going to learn what they've been up to since we saw them last in Ten of Swords. We're also going to learn whether or not they were successful in taking back a Minth, or if they wound up becoming slaves to the forces of a Minth. And we're also going to learn what Apocalypse thinks about all the chicanery that's been going on with the Quiet Council since he left. And of course, for me, I'm actually curious to see if they're going to do anything with that vampire subplot going on with Death. But Carter, what do you think about this? What do you think about this one?
With him finally bringing his ass back, I think this is gonna be an instance of where the X-Men are gonna go back to their status quo, but I think Apocalypse coming back, I think Apocalypse is gonna just take over Krakoa.
Mhm. Here's what I could see that. I could also see him, and I might be playing my hand a little early here, but we've all been talking about how big of a year Storm has been having as of late. We know the Storm has, since Al Ewing's X-Men Red #1, she wanted to create a new Brotherhood of Mutants. We also know that she will have her Brotherhood of Mutants during Sins of Sinister on a more official level. I could also see Storm long-term sticking with Rocco. I wonder if at some point we'll see Storm hanging out with this group at any point during this. I think it would be great, especially considering Storm's roots. Which, by the way, spoiler alert, I do have a video coming up about Storm and her ancestry. Some things that were actually brought up in, of all places, Scarlet Witch #2. So there's something there, but yeah, I can definitely see, because I think we talked about this before. Like, could you see someone like Storm working with someone like Magneto if Charles didn't get to her first, so on and so forth? I could actually see Storm being quite buddy with Apocalypse. If he's not being, if he's more like how he's been as of late. But this looks great. This looks great. I'm here for it. I can't wait. Like, honestly, because we haven't seen a lot. Even during Ten of Swords, we did not see a lot of the children of Apocalypse, even though they were featured, mostly through a lot of Ten of Swords. We just kind of got to see them little bits and pieces here or there. I want to see where they're at right now. Are they one big happy family again, or is this just dysfunctional as a motherfucker? The next thing that we also got, and this is another one I'm very excited about, Steve Orlando, as we just talked about just a moment ago. We got a title coming up called X-Men Before the Fall, Mutant First Strike, which is going to be Steve Orlando and Valentina Penty. This is going to be a book that is largely going to focus on Cyclops, Bishop, and Jean Grey. And it looks pretty interesting. I'm curious to see what is going on here. Because the way the blurb puts it out, it says they're basically going on what should, for all intents and purposes, be a milk run. Yeah, just a easy point A, point B mission, nothing crazy. Something that they could do in their sleep. But they end up stumbling on something so dark and twisted that it will change how mutants view humanity forever. I don't know. That's kind of a loaded statement. There's a lot of things they could potentially find. I don't know. This one, I think this one has the most potential to surprise, based on whatever it is they decide, whatever Steve Orlando decides to make the big reveal. But yeah, the idea that it's just those three mutants. I don't think any other mutants are going to feature in it. But like, they specifically call out Cyclops, Jean Grey, Bishop, which I think is an interesting pairing. But I don't know. What do you think about that? What do you think about that lineup right there?
The lineup I like, but it's the whole tagline of it's gonna change how they look at everyone else. We've been there, done that. I'm still more excited for the Apocalypse book than this. But that's not to say that this book won't be something to be checking out, because any book with Bishop I'm gonna check out anyway.
Yeah. So, no, 100%.
Bishop and Storm just give me them extreme X-Men vibes again. Like, I'm with it. I'm with it. Even though Extreme X-Men was outrageous, but yeah, I'm with it either way.
Wait. You mean like back in the day when Rogue was just kissing folks willy-nilly? Just locking lips on folks? Just walk up to Bishop, just lay one on him? I'm kind of with you, though. This is actually the one... Well, I'm same with the DC stuff. While I am hype for all four of these books, this is probably the one I'm the least excited for. But that's because the books they've announced are so good. Because we still haven't talked about the last one, Carter. The last book. And this is from the homie Kieran Gillen. The Sinister Four. This is going to be Kieran Gillen and Paco Medina. This is going to be a tale that will bring all 4 Sinister clones, which, by the way, if you may or may not notice, one of them is blacked out. And that's because that's Mother Righteous. They actually have the logo covering her up. Because at the time they released these covers, Legion of X-10 had not come out yet. At the time this happened. But we have a very Jeff Bridges looking Orbis Stellaris. Looking like that man was fresh off the scene of True Grit, the True Grit remake. The dude, like, you know what? He's not even Orbis Stellaris no more. He's just the dude now. He's the dude. There you go. We've also got, of course, Mr. Sinister, as always. Dr. Stasis up here. Of course, Mother Righteous behind the logo. And it kind of seems like a lot of the Quiet Council look shocked at, you know, whatever it is that they're looking at. I'm pretty sure they will all know about all 4 Sinisters by the time this is all over, especially considering that by this particular point in Sins of Sinister, they're all, for the most part, Sinisters with the exception of Storm, Destiny, and Mystique at this. Well, actually, no, I think Destiny and Mystique might be in that running too. They just haven't been turned yet, but because they've all been resurrected. But that said, this book says that it's going to bring them all together. And it implies they will be working together in secret even if they don't realize it, and what their plans are going forward since losing control of the universe in Sins of Sinister. So basically, the long story short is they are plotting to shape the future of all mutant kind. So basically, this book lets you know right off rip, they lose. They're going to lose in the finale of Sins of Sinister. So if you were expecting them to still have control by the end of it, they are not. But whereas I think during the early goings of Sins of Sinister, I think it's actually doubtful to say they are actively working together. But who knows? They probably are. But I think by the time you get to the end of Sins of Sinister, they will actually be working together to some degree or another, because this book pretty much implies they will be. So there you have that. But yeah, this is the one I'm actually the most hyped for. Followed very closely by Heralds of Apocalypse, and then Sons of X, and then Mutant First Strike. That's where I'm at. But yeah. Carter, what do you think? What do you think? Which one are you? I guess you say are you more for Apocalypse?
Yeah, I'm more for Apocalypse just because I didn't think about the Araco of it all. So, because I was just thinking, okay, they're probably just going to go the route of they're going to go back to the status quo, but Apocalypse with the Horseman and his lady are going to be on Krakoa, and that's just going to be what that is. It's just going to be something that's used for a story. But when you bring a Rocco into it, and as far as we know, Sword is still a thing, so that actually that might open up some more stories with her brotherhood and stuff like that. So honestly, it's for me, it's Apocalypse, and it's Apocalypse, it's Sons of X, and then you can just put the last two in whatever order you want to put them in. Because every time I hear the Sinister Four, I think of the Sinister Six, and I just get disappointed by current Spider-Man. So that's where I'm at with it right now.
Well, once again, I think everything's gonna work out in the end. I'm very hype. I'm very, very hype. But let's go to our recommendations for the week. Carter, what you got, man? You got anything you want to recommend this week?
This week, I'm actually recommending. I'm recommending people just like take a break from comics today. That's what I'm recommending. I'm recommending. Hopefully the weather isn't bad where you are. I know back home they've been dealing with a lot of ice storms and what have you, but get out and about for a day. Just so that Ernie can't make remarks about Snyder fans being stuck in their basements and what have you. Get out in the open, go outside, breathe some fresh air for a sec. I'm fairly certain comic shops are open on Saturdays because they are for me. Yeah. So yeah, just Go out, man, and enjoy a Saturday. Just not being in the house watching Twitch, YouTube, HBO Max, all these um, other tomfoolery. Just yeah, just get out and about, people. Socialize. You might actually enjoy it.
This is true. This is true. I will definitely say for me, my recommendation is the opposite of that. While I did actually spend yesterday hanging out with my daughter out and about, which is what I love to do, another thing I was doing after she was passed out, taking a nap from our out and abouts and running around, I took some time to watch a TV show that a lot of people talk about, but I've been hesitant to watch. Largely because of some of the political stuff going on in the world these days, but at the end of the day, I discovered that I have an addiction. I have a problem, something I probably should go check myself into the Betty Ford Clinic and get straightened out. I am a huge fan of watching white people be terrible to each other. And that is why I'm going to recommend the show Yellowstone. I don't know. I initially, when I first started watching it, I couldn't tell you specifically why I liked this show when I first started watching it. But I've been thoroughly enjoying it because it's literally just about white people being awful to each other. I mean, they're being awful to other people too. But, you know, they say no one hates like family. And that is what I love about this show. Because these folks are absolutely dog shit to one another. I've even started watching the prequel series to the show. They're actually all very good. And actually, the only reason I even really started watching is because the same person behind Tulsa King and some of my other favorite shows is, you know, behind this. So I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to stay in the wheelhouse. Also, I will say, if you have not done so, if you have not been keeping up with the TV series, The Mayor of Kingstown, I highly recommend you go check it out. It's a very good show. Very good. And it's good to see Jeremy Renner, with his own thing. He's got his own show. He's got a vehicle to catapult himself further into the stratosphere, even without the Marvel stuff being taken into consideration. It's a show I think Carter and I both mentioned before. We both mentioned it on the show before, but it's a show I highly recommend. Highly recommend it, especially with the second season in full swing. I think it's fantastic. Go check it out if you have time. If you have some downtime, if you just want to sit down, watch something compelling that you don't have to put a whole heap of a lot of thought into, Mayor of Kingstown is definitely a good way to spend a good time. Not because like it's dumb, but because I just say you can turn your brain off because like you're not having to juggle plot threads. Like everything is very straight and to the point.
If you want to see someone from the Wyatt family get their head blown off, you can watch Mayor of Kingstown.
Yes. Yeah. I forgot he was on there. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, that was season 1. Damn. Yeah. Shit. I forgot all about that. But yeah, that's that. Let's go and jump into we'll get into questions. It's Discord question time. If you haven't already, go ahead and start putting your questions in the chat from when we start answering those. We got one here from Ajax, who says, what's going on, fellas? First, want to say, Carter, you had me nervous last week. I didn't know what happened during the break, LOL. But my question is, what movie from a comic do you want to see come to the big screen that's not Marvel or DC? Well, you can take away the authority. Oh, what do you got, Carter? What do you think? That's not Marvel or DC.
I mean, the easy answer to that would always be Luther Strode to me.
And you're getting that, actually.
What do you mean?
Yeah, they announced that last year. They're making a Luther Strode movie.
No, I thought you meant I was getting the book. I'm like, but I'm looking at the fucking book. Oh no,
No. I was saying like you're actually getting one.
I think, but yeah, Luther Strode is always going to be the first thing, just because of how just insane that book is with the blood and the gore and all that good stuff. But honestly, just because I saw a tweet about it recently, I wouldn't mind. This would be a reboot or a remake, but I want to see somebody find Alec Baldwin and bring the Shadow back, bro.
Not this fool. Oh man, look, I think Alec Baldwin got a whole other host of problems right now.
Dude, I saw a tweet about, they were talking about the Shadow, and they were talking about the Phantom, and I'm like, you know what? I wouldn't mind seeing the Phantom again.
Oh no, 100%. I would watch the Phantom. I'd watch the Phantom. If they brought it back. Honestly, for me, and I guess maybe because it's fresh in my head. Maybe that's why. I would love to see a movie based on, well, no, that one you have to do as a TV show. So scratch that. I would love to see, and you couldn't do this one because that'd have to be a series of HBO Max. You can't have all that screwing going on in that. So that takes Deadly Class off the table. But no, I was gonna say for me, I personally would not mind if we got maybe something along the lines of like a movie series based on. Ooh. This is one that I think we actually almost got, but it never happened, and I think it got canceled, so this is my answer. Crowded. It was a comic that was about a, like how you have Indiegogos and Kickstarters. Instead of having an Indiegogo or a Kickstarter to fund some piece of technology or a book or a movie or a comic or a piece of art or whatever, you could crowdfund someone's assassination. Which is what that book was about. It was about a woman who apparently someone really hated her damn guts. And not just one person, but a bunch of people. And basically what happens is someone throws in a bid for it, and then people say, oh, I want to put money towards that. I want to put money towards that. Ooh, that looks cool. I want to put money towards that. Oh, I know that motherfucker. I want to put money towards that. And that's basically what it was. This woman woke up one day and realized that there were people trying to kill her, because what happens is when people crowdfund these assassinations, what happens is they don't just send one person after you. What happens is that tons of people come looking for you, because if they kill you, they get the bounty that was raised to fund your assassination. And this woman becomes like the most crowd-funded assassination in the history of crowd-funded assassinations. And it's a pretty interesting story. But I think they were supposed to make a movie about it, but then it got canceled, so that is my answer. The homie Melvin says, happy Black History years, because I celebrate my Black History 24/7, 365, as you should. Hopeful you and your people are blessed this week. Here's the question, since it's Black History Month. What are some Black History moments that have always stayed in your head, and what are some history that needs to be taught more, not only to kids, but adults as well? Thank you guys for what you're doing, and I even got my mama watching this with me. Watch yourself, Carter. There you go. Look. So here's the thing. Black History moments that I think should be taught more often. Some of the ones that I would normally have picked are already kind of starting to reach the forefront. Things like the Tulsa Massacre. That is one of the key ones. And And while, that is one, I know Rosewood is one that comes up sometimes as well. I do think we need to talk more about things like some of the other massacres that used to happen across the country that were quite commonplace. Things like Wilmington, and those of the like. But for me, you know what I think we should teach more? And this isn't so much Black history as far as like greatness of Black history. But I do think it is a tragic thing in light of everything that's been going on as of late. For those of you who know, I live in Memphis, Tennessee, as Carter, also from Memphis, Tennessee. In light of all the Tyree Nichols tragedy, I feel like, and I only say this as a part of Black history just because of the nature of it. I think we should talk more about how the police system, that as we know it today, where it comes from, that the original police were slave catchers, Pinkertons. A lot of people don't talk about that. And it's why the police system is, as it is today, a corrupt and racist institution, because it was born from a racist institution. And I think that's something people don't talk about enough. I think like some people know it, but not everybody knows it. And it's why I think people get so defensive when we bring up police reform and defund the police, which doesn't mean what people think it means. Defunding the police doesn't mean, get rid of it all and leave nothing in its place. It means reforming it, to stop pouring money into a system that's clearly not using it well. Case in point, if you live in Atlanta, you probably already know about Cop City. That's a whole thing that's trying to be put into action. But I also think there are a lot of other things in history that we don't talk about enough. As far as like the highlights, the fact that the Lone Ranger was originally supposed to be is based off Bass Reeves, a whole black person, not a white knight in shining armor. But Carter, what do you got? Anything specific to you?
I don't want to get canceled bringing up CRT, so I'm gonna leave you on that hill by yourself.
I was gonna say, for those that don't know, no one teaches CRT in elementary school. Just FYI, it's a college course. You literally have to pay someone to teach it to you.
But no, I feel like the things that we were taught when it wasn't a bad thing to be taught these things in school, which is a wild fucking thing to say, that like the shit that we got taught, even though some of it doesn't help in the fucking slightest.
No.
When you get out into the real world, when it pertains to Black history, I think a lot of the things that you, me, and everybody watching, because I like to think that a lot of you all are close to our age, a lot of the shit that we were taught that they took out needs to be put back in.
Yes.
And not because it's going to make you or your white friend feel like it's not for you, for your white friend to feel like they were a scumbag. It's just
Right.
that was how it went down back then. That's just is what it is. So man, I can't even just say it's one specific thing, because I don't think it's one specific thing that should be taught. I think it's all things when it comes to Black history, that should be taught and should be put into these schools. And for whatever fucking reason, to stop that from being taught is, I think you're hiding shit now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Well, because if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. That's what they want. They want us to repeat. But yeah. Qdoma says, I found this interesting. There's a rumor that suggests the Beyonder will be a variant of Kang. What's your feelings and thoughts on this? I am here for it if this is so. I don't know about that. I have not heard that rumor anywhere. But if that is the case, it would be weird. But yeah, hey, I won't shut it down. Let's see here. We got another one here. This is from Elite X1. It says, Ernie, how much Warner Brothers DC paying you to keep spoiling all Marvel's major event conclusions on the slide? Just kidding. Seriously, though, have you seen the new DC animated film with Supergirl and the Legion of the Superheroes, and how do you rate it? For me, DC animation is on a steady decline in quality. I've not seen it. I've not seen the Legion of Superheroes DC animated film yet. I don't have I have seen the trailers for it. I don't have a problem with the animation in it. I mean, honestly, I feel like this is going to sound terrible. I've seen worse DC animated stuff or stuff that was animated terribly. And honestly, the landscape of animation has just changed so dramatically that it's just not the same anymore. Even Japan is changing it up. With how they do animation now. So, I mean, it just is what it is. It doesn't bother me. I don't... If it's the same animation techniques they've been using for, like, the last 3 or 4 DC animated films, and it didn't bother me then, it doesn't bother me now. As far as, like, storytelling goes, like, once again, I can't say because I didn't watch it. Not yet. I'll watch it. I plan on watching it this weekend, along with Super Sons. And then we got Urban Prince of Strong Style. Oh, wait, Carter, did you watch it?
I did not. I did not know it was a thing. When it comes to DC animation being on the steady decline, I would say it's not a surefire thing if you're gonna get. Well, I wouldn't say steady decline just because there are gonna be some hits, but I think the thing nowadays with DC animation is now there are hits and misses. Yeah. Which was never a thing before.
Honestly, it kind of started for me with Gotham by Gaslight. That was kind of where it started, because I didn't like that one very much. Or Batman and Harley Quinn. I didn't like that one either. So there you go. Your favorite things are fallible now. Urban Prince Strong Style says, Happy Black History Month. Says, Good Brothers, my question today is, can you tell me in your opinion of a black gaming protagonist that has been done very well? I really liked the main character of Watch Dogs 2. So there's that. Oh, you got one, Carter? It's like, no. Well, I was gonna say I'll throw out another one. You've also got Miles Morales in the Spider-Man game. Lee in The Walking Dead, also a good protagonist.
Yeah, I don't like bringing up Lee because then I start. That game made me cry. Well, I don't even know if this would be a good one because I can't even remember his fucking name. The brother from Deathloop.
Deathloop. Oh yeah. Okay, I'll give you that one.
And that was just more so because he wasn't stereotypical or anything. That brother was just going through it.
Yeah, no, I like the protagonist. I forgot about that. Oh, dude. Oh my God, what was the name of the character? Technically it wasn't a standalone game. It wasn't a standalone game, but it was a DLC for it. It was a DLC for it. It was where you played as Adewale. I figured that's what you were talking about. Yeah,
from
Assassin's
fucking
Creed.
Black Flag. Black Flag deal. Freedom Cry.
Yeah, Freedom Cry. I liked him.
Yeah, I was trying not to go the stereotypical like slave route, or somebody else in the chat is bringing up San Andreas. I didn't want to go the gang route or anything like that.
You could also technically, I guess, because technically he was Assassin's Creed Origins, Bayek. I think you could technically count Bayek.
I didn't play that one. I wanted to, but I didn't play that one. That was the Egyptian, right?
Yeah, Egyptian one. Yep. And while some people may or may not some people may or may not remember this other Assassin's Creed game, which once again, kind of you're kind of falling into the same category as Freedom Cry, but Evelyn from Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation. Also liked her as a character. She was interesting. She had nuance to her. She was a black person during the time of slavery who kind of tried to blend into various aspects of
I'm hoping this black woman
life.
in this I'm hoping this black woman in this Dishonored Death of the Outsider is not a bad take, because they made it free for the Epic Store, so I'm gonna try that out today.
Oh yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. I think, is that the one? Because that's the character that Rosario Dawson plays, right?
I did not. That's news to me.
Oh, okay, then there you go. There you go. We also got another one here. Last one from the Discord. We're gonna jump to question from the chat. Was it Massageal4179 says, how do you feel about the idea of teaming up Prodigy and Sync in the main X-Men title? That is, if Prodigy wins the vote. It would be interesting, because I feel like you've got two characters who kind of do roughly the same thing, but in very different ways, if that makes any sense. You have Sync, who can basically use the abilities of anyone near him, where Prodigy can just know anything that anyone around him knows. It would be interesting. But I won't lie, I would kind of feel like it was kind of the same way I felt about when Sync and Rogue were on the same team together. I felt like you had two characters who already kind of do virtually the same thing together at the same time, even though it's technically different applications. I'd be fine with if they were on the same team together. I think I've been very vocal on Twitter. My vote was for Frenzy. I don't expect Frenzy to win. Honestly, I think Juggernaut or Dazzler will wind up winning the vote. Because I believe Dazzler is included in that vote, which, by the way, ended yesterday. They didn't let it drag on like they did for the previous two, which I think is probably a good thing. Because that's how you wind up with Firestar. Anyway, let's jump to one of our first super chats. This one is going to be the Elite X1. With $5 says, Gunn about to inject all his favorite characters into the DCU, like how McDuffie did with his faves and Static in the Justice League Unlimited. Yes, which I'm perfectly fine with. I think that is honestly the best way to go moving forward. I don't know about anybody else, but that is where I'm at on that. Let's see. We got another one here. Scott Fitzgerald with a 1999 super chat says, salute, brothers. Question, because I'm confused a bit. Didn't Sinister do a false flag orbital strike on Krakoa and blame Orcus for it? And then Iron Man killed Nimrod in retaliation with a CPU virus? Okay, so here's what happened. Yes, the Sinisters did do that. They did pull false flag. They pulled their own orbital strike on Krakoa, but instead of killing Krakoa the way they claimed that Orcus did, they just simply, they basically just disabled Krakoa, is more what they did. Krakoa isn't so much dead, it's just a vegetable right now. Both figuratively and literally. And Iron Man did use a computer virus on Nimrod to shut him down. Though it was a virus, I believe he cooked up with Reed Richards. So yes, you are correct. That is what happened in Sins of Sinister #1. We also got Carlos Johnson with once again, a 1999 super chat. Says, hey guys, sorry I haven't been around, but my father passed last Wednesday and buried him yesterday. PSA, by the way, before we continue this one, sorry for your loss. And I do, like I said, I hope you are, just staying chill, just trying to take it easy, brother. But it says, PSA, make sure you have life insurance. Funeral expenses are expensive. Someone has to pay the bill. Wakanda Forever hits close now. Yeah. Okay, so the other day, I saw, because you see this very commonly. You see people putting up GoFundMes and stuff like that to pay for funeral expenses whenever something bad happens. I used to always find that very strange until about a year ago, until I really sat down and thought about it. And I was like, oh, yeah, because funerals are not cheap, like, at all. But yeah, that, like I said, that hits home a lot. And yeah, like I said, there's few things on this earth quite like losing a parent. So, like I said, my heart goes out to you, pimp. I hope that you and your family are getting through this. And yeah, man, like nothing but love and positive energy being sent your way from myself. But yeah. There. That's all I can say about that. That's man, dude, I'm so sorry to hear that. Carter, you got anything to add?
Not to that. I'd already saw that super chat well before you did.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, let's see here. Walter Baptiste with we got another one here. With a 1999 Canadian super chat. Says, I keep missing, yes, y'all. I'm glad I made it in time for today's episode, though. Hey, we're glad that you made it, too. We're glad that you're here. Sit down, put your feet up, kick back. I hope you enjoy. Thank you for that super chat, by the way. All of you, thank you for the super chats. My God, we got another one here. Antonio Logan with the $100. Good Lord. This man just dropped a whole Ben Franklin on us. Says, I'm sorry I've been missing the live caves lately. My health and work has been kicking my butt. I noticed Blue Marvel in the Defenders book. Talking about Defenders Beyond. Says, he is my favorite character. What other books and stories can I find him in? Keep on doing the Lord's work. Hey, we appreciate you. And first and foremost, I hope your health is taking a turn for the better. If you want to find more Blue Marvel, man, that's tough. Because, that brother don't show up in a lot. But if I'm not mistaken, Carter, and I think you read this as well. Did he or did he not? He featured not a heap of a lot, but I do remember seeing him in the Doctor Doom series. The recent one. He wasn't
he wasn't in it a whole lot, but yeah, he was in that series. If you want books, I would tell you, if you don't want to go as far back as the original book that Kevin Graveau wrote, one that I saw him in, and that's what made me want to know more about the character. That was Captain America and the Mighty Avengers. That was
Al Ewing.
That was Al Ewing. It was Sam Wilson's Captain America, Luke Cage, Blue Marvel, Blade, Spectrum. That's what made me a fan of his. Another Al Ewing book is The Ultimates. Is another one.
Al Ewing writes a lot of Blue Marvel. Honestly, no one else really uses Blue Marvel with the exception of him. I'm trying to think. There was something else that he appeared in as well. I know he shows up for a brief moment in Tom King's Vision, but that's a whole other story altogether. I'm trying to think. Is there anything else? He pretty much just makes sparing appearances here and there, honestly.
The books we just named off are probably the best books to go and find, because he's one of those where it's Sentry Syndrome, where they're too broken to be put in a whole lot. So you really got to cross your fingers that what they're in is going to be really, really good. And The Ultimates from Al Ewing and Captain America and the Mighty Avengers is another good book. Just be wary of Captain America and the Mighty Avengers, because it's Greg Land on art. So it's going to be a lot of motherfuckers that look exactly the same.
Yeah, it's and well, and I'll say too, like you said, Captain America, the Mighty Avengers. I also recommend just Mighty Avengers as well, because that is also by Al Ewing, which actually Mighty Avengers leads directly into Captain America. and the Mighty Avengers. So I mean, that's like one. Like honestly, if you just take both of those runs, slap them together, there you go. You got you've got, I would say, top shelf Blue Marvel. If nothing else. Let's see here. We've also got, let's see here. We got another one here. $10 from Ken's Familiar 11 says, thanks for talking about this. Erasing history is a big part of how narratives are revised. It's why Black History matters. Pillar of Garbage has a video talking about this, the ties, these ties and the comics code. Yes. I do also recommend, I co-sign that. I do recommend, check out Pillar of Garbage. That video is actually really good. Also, I will tell you, that while I know a lot of things are going on right now in Florida that technically affect college curriculum across the entire, country, I highly advise to each and every one of you, I don't care whether you're black, white, blue, green, whatever, know your history. Not just your own history, but other people's history. Because if you go back and look, we see a lot of the same things. It doesn't matter whether it's black, doesn't matter if it's white, doesn't matter if it's Latin, doesn't matter who it is. We all have been repeating not just our own histories, but each other's histories. And the reason why those happen is because they don't get taught. And I think that there is value in just accepting that black history is just as much American history as anyone else's. So the idea of not knowing your history, even if you aren't black, I think you do yourself a disservice. I think it is wise to look into things, and make sure to check your sources. Check your sources. Make sure that you're not getting spread some bullshit. Because there's a lot of people out there who try and spread things as though they're actual facts, when in fact they are just opinions, and in many cases just lies.
Not even spread things. Hide things.
Yes. So don't. Yeah. Moral of the story: know your history. Know your history. Let's see. Do we have any? I think we're all caught up with super chats. I'm going back through the regular chats now. For questions. Let's see here. Says, did they say whether Jeremy Renner would be able to keep his leg after the accident? I haven't heard anything about that, but I at least that specifically, but I have heard talk that he's going to make a full recovery. But just, in the light of everything that happened, especially learning that what happened, because I think it was confirmed he saved his kid from getting hit by that plow. So just, dude, that is, man. I'm sorry. I don't care what your thoughts are on Jeremy Renner. If that doesn't make you a father of the freaking year, I mean, granted, you're supposed to do that anyway, but just the idea that, he, without hesitation, threw himself in front of that shit to save his kid. That is, dude, that broke my fucking heart. Because I can only imagine how much worse it would have been for him had he not been able to save his child. I think about the instance where, oh God, what was her name? Oh my God, Naya Rivera. Some of you may or may not remember her. But she passed away, I believe, a couple of years ago? But she passed away, and when details got out about, what happened, because it was, seemed like it was, a drowning, accident. But when the more details came out about it, we learned that, her and her son, I think it was her son, had gone missing while they were out on some, boating, deal, and the boy, the child turned up because they ended up further down, I think, a river on a boat. But it was because it was pretty much posited that something had happened where one or both of them fell out of the boat, and she was able to get him back in, but died in the process of that. We also saw this with the WWE, former WWE superstar Shad Gaspard. Same thing where he drowned, saving his son's life. It's situations like that make you, if you don't understand, if you're not a parent, I wouldn't expect anyone to understand it, but if you're a parent, you look at a situation like that and go, yeah, that would have been me. You know what I'm saying? And I would feel so much sadness for someone who was not capable of doing that for their child. So yeah, it's messed up. Let's see here. Let's go further down the list. What do we got? I'm seeing a lot of ooh, man. Oh, damn, I didn't see this part. Past few months have been tough. He had COVID, UTI, brain atrophy, and severe dementia. Oh, damn, dude, I'm so sorry to hear that, dude. Damn. Like I said, man, my heart goes out to you, brother. My heart goes out. Let's see what else we got. If James Gunn is leading towards comic book stories like Stormwatch and Wildcats, should the MCU go in the Malibu comic direction with Ultra Force? Carter, did you ever read Ultra Force? Did you ever read any of the Malibu comic stuff?
Yeah, I read some of that shit.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good. Hey, keep that. You see, DC had the benefit of Jim Lee selling them something that was already good. Marvel bought a false bill of goods. Oh, goddamn. I'm sorry. Yeah.
If that don't tell you to end the show when motherfuckers start bringing up Ultra Force, God damn.
Man. Oh, man, right? I almost did right there. I'm going to answer a few more. Is Harlem Hellfighters still in development? I have not heard anything about it since. And I saw somebody mention Bitterroot. I haven't heard much about Bitterroot either.
Why does that sound so familiar?
What?
Harlem Hellfighters.
Well, I would say for one,
was it about the Tuskegee Airmen?
That one, I think, no. I think it was adjacent. I think it was like adjacent to that. But that is something but I mean, it was actually and once again, this is why I also say know your history. It is something that I've only recently kind of learned about, but it is actually a part of, once again, part of our history. And I think someone somewhere down the line may have done something with that, but yeah, for those, yeah, it's kind of like the thing, like if you go back, I put the Harlem Hellfighters in the same boat as I put things like the Buffalo Soldiers, the Tuskegee Airmen, parts of our Black history that are part of American history that people try not to talk about because of the nature of what it represents. This is kind of what it is. Let's see here. Bill says, if Juggernaut gets the vote, will he be the queer non-mutant Kumbaya team member that Orcus will be eyeing on if Frenzy gets it? Will she explain her relationship with Scott to Scott? I mean, the thing is, she's tried to do that before, and I think she did explain it to him. It's just that he couldn't do anything with that because he was still with Jean. It was an alternate timeline, and I mean, maybe she could try and break it down further, but I feel like she's already pretty much had that conversation with him, so I don't think that's something I would want to see rehashed. But maybe I would want to see at least maybe them showing Frenzy getting past it. Because it kind of seems like while she is over it, there have been some moments where she kind of brings it up. We saw this in Sword when she laid the smackdown on Cable when he got possessed by Null. But yeah. Let's see here. I don't know, Carter. Would you want to? Let's see. How would you want to see Juggernaut represented if he does get the vote?
So Juggernaut was who I voted for, just because of the miniseries that came out with him.
Yeah.
The queer non-mutant Kumbaya team member. I don't know where the fuck that came from. That's news to me. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where that came from. I more so wanted him on there just because I would want a lot more of that miniseries characterization of him. Plus, I just want to. I just want to see the salt from Xavier that Juggernaut would be on that team.
Yeah,
That
I think it
he's
would be
made
interesting.
something of himself, even though, kind of like Legion. Legion made something of himself, even though Xavier wants him to just go somewhere. The same thing with Juggernaut. So those were my main reasons for voting for Juggernaut, and just
Yeah.
why I would want Juggernaut on the team in the first place.
Mhm. That's fair. That's
Oh,
fair.
he and Black Tom had a thing together. That is news
Yeah.
to me.
Mhm.
That is news to me.
I think it's kind of hinted at. It's hinted at in I think I remember it actually being originally hinted at in X-Force, and it's also kind of touched on in Legion of X. Like it's one of those things. It's almost, I don't want to call it queer coding, but that's kind of what it is. A little bit like, it wasn't like a thing where they stopped the comic and were like, "Hey, this is a thing," but like they basically just make mentions of things that if you understand, if you leave your mind open to the idea, it's like, oh yeah, this is what they're going with. Let's see here. Let me see, because we got a bunch of others in here. Let's see here. What's this? I'm trying to look up. Try not to answer the same ones twice. Huh. More declarative statements than I see questions. Okay, here we go. How do you know when a comic book is so good, so riveting, that it's going to be worth something if you collect it 10 or 20 years down in the future? I want to get into collecting books for value purpose. I mean, honestly, I would just get what you want. Get what you want, buy what you want. Though I will say, a lot of times, I would say check the solicits, because Marvel and DC are very good about telling you what's going to happen in the book that might make it a key issue quicker than anything else. So I would say just keep an eye on solicits. Let's see here. Ken Martin, who wins? Blue Marvel versus Ultimate Instinct Goku?
Can we go now?
Keck laugh. BS Filters is Ernie Carter. Do you think the upcoming revelations about Storm figures into the connection to mysticism that Act of the Heart and Scarlet Witch and Storm share? Yes, I do.
I didn't even think about that.
Yep, I do. Have you read Steve Orlando's latest issue of Scarlet Witch?
No, because I like that Steve Orlando's getting more work. I don't give a fuck about Scarlet Witch.
That's fair. But here's the good thing, though. It's not just about Scarlet Witch.
Okay.
Quicksilver shows up in the first issue, and a lot of what she deals with in the second issue is in regards to Vision, and and them kind of working out their familial issues.
Oh, that actually sounds interesting. I'll check that out.
Yeah. And Polaris is going to be in the next issue, and they will likely be talking it up. Also, the second issue has a side story with Storm in it. It's like maybe a few pages, but it's really good. I almost kind of wish it was just the core story. I wish they would have done like a full issue about just that, but yeah, hey, we can't win them all. Does Black Tom Cassie have any connection with Doctor Strange? I don't think so. Not to my recollection. Let's see here. Let's see here. Didn't Rune, Nightman, and Ghoul come from Malibu Comics? I believe so. They did come from that. Not Nightman, confused with the joke from It's Always Sunny. Not that one. Oh. Let's see. I think that's it. That's a good way to go out. Let's go out on that. Let's go out on that one. That said, that is the show. Carter, do you have any announcements you want to make? Anything you want to promo or plug?
No, after this, I'm going to work on the weekend, apparently.
Oh, ew, gross. That said, I have nothing to announce. I will probably be streaming some stuff here pretty soon. Maybe not necessarily today, but maybe possibly tomorrow. Largely because I got an offer to do something and I'm going to take it. I'll likely be doing it on this side of things, not on Twitch because of the specifics of what they asked for. But even though it's nothing comic related in the slightest.
Raid Shadow Legend.
No. I mean, it's gonna be a game. I'm actually gonna play. It's a game I'm gonna play on a YouTube. Actually, or I may not even play it. I may just record myself playing it and then just post a video of it. We'll see how that works out. But I will be doing some more streaming. I've been kind of juggling lately the idea of how I want to stream things, whether or not it's worth it to me to do things on one platform versus another, gauging interest there. But we're just gonna kind of play it by ear, see what happens. I feel like I probably should do it here, but I don't know. There's been so much going on with Sins of Sinister and everything. I've been super stupid busy. But that said, oh, you know what? That's not gonna be the last one. I think we got one last one in us. We got one last one in us, Carter. I think we do. We got one from the homie Jonathan Moda hitting us with a last. This is the last hurrah. Last 1999. Super chat says I think the Legion variant of Carter can beat Goku. I'll go with that. I'll go with that. And on that note, you know what? We're not even going to do the usual call-outs. I'm just going to say, Ezra Miller, you can go to hell.
Bye!